Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. I'm your host, Nicholas Allen, and my guest today is Ryan Cowley, also known as the Original Gorilla on Instagram. He's a dad, a student, and a former Green Beret from the 1st Special Forces Group. He currently resides in the Nashville, Tennessee area, continuing his education, and I hope you enjoy this conversation just as much as I did. Today's episode is brought to you by the Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley. Precision Wellness Group helps you restore balance, unlock vitality through bioidentical hormone therapy and evidence-based, personalized telemedicine. Taylor Bosley is an emergency medicine physician, a U.S. Army veteran, and a former Green Beret. So what does all that mean? Well, Dr. Taylor Bosley has the shared background to understand where you've been, where you want to go, and how to get you there. And he's an actual doctor who can prescribe you actual medicine. So if hormone replacement therapy or TRT or peptides is something that you've been thinking about for a while now, or just looking into, look no further than Precision Wellness Group, and they will point you in the correct direction. I will have links to their website along with Ryan Cowley's Instagram details in the show description. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Ryan Cowley, welcome to Lesser Known Operators,
Thanks for
man.
having
Thanks
me.
for
I
coming on.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. I think you were in my original psychotic stream of cold messaging everyone that had anything to do with special operations when I started the page. So I appreciate you getting back to me. You messaged me back and I was like, who is this?
I got your message and I was like, especially the last couple of years after getting out, I was like, just not in the mood for podcasts. And then I saw you were a first group guy, and I was like, man, I gotta support a fellow first grouper and hop on here. And I love what you're doing. I love what the mission is of the podcast. So yeah, man, very grateful to be here.
Appreciate that. I'm having a lot of fun. And yes, the first group, you had the first group flash there front and center looking all sexy. If for some reason with no
Yeah,
shirt on
that
and kit.
picture.
And I was like, I don't know about that. Yeah. Do you get a lot of hate
Oh,
from that picture?
definitely from the old school SF dudes while I was still in. Like, I think especially at that time in culture, I really discovered social media and these pictures were popping up on all these different pages. And there were a lot of dudes that talk shit, but there were also a lot of great benefits that came from it. So it's definitely a double-edged sword. But yeah, I think most people recognize that picture and have that same question, like, dude, where's your shirt? At that time we had
I just, this
yeah,
thirst trap picture, I was
yeah,
like, man,
it was. Yeah.
that's good. So that's all right. That's all right. But, you know, I started this in January. Now it's June, and like even now, I'm like, you see the game. Like I don't have to conform to the Instagram game as much. Like I'm just gonna. But there's some things you got to do. Like you only get 3 seconds in a reel on Instagram for the algorithm to be like, oh, okay, we need to give this
Yeah.
person more time. How people are watching it and things like that. So I don't like the click, but I have to structure my reels and stuff and sometimes I can't. Like it's content. Like I just want you to
Yeah.
come and watch the podcast. But if I've got a reel that's the clickbaity sections in the middle and the information's in the front, I have to cut the information out to get to that first part to be like, what did he say? What did he say? And man, the people in the comments, they are just ruthless. But they can't help themselves. If you give them like tee them up with a question that I know the answer to, I absolutely know the answer to that. But if you give them something where they assume you don't know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
they're all over it. And you don't have to fight them in the comments
Yeah,
either.
that's it. I think something that everybody's waking up to now is just like the negative effects of social media. And it is a game you have to, if you're trying to market and promote, it's like you have to almost disingenuously promote yourself and put clickbaity stuff in so you get traffic. It can feel pretty icky, you know what I mean? But that's business on social media. So
Yeah, it's something else because I won't do
Yeah,
TikTok. I just
feels
won't
weird as an
for
older
views.
man.
So it does, and I just I've got too much, and I cut. I grabbed all the domains in the beginning, and then I was like, well, I can't keep up with all this. I don't know what I'm doing. So Instagram was the main effort, and then and now everything posts automatically. Facebook, I figured that out, and Threads does its thing, and but yeah, man, I don't know. I'm having fun with it, and we'll see. So yeah, like I said, yeah, you don't have too many posts on there, but you do have great pictures. Are you taking all your own and
Yeah,
editing your own stuff, or you don't post much
yeah.
anymore
So
either?
years ago, when I was still active duty, I kind of fell into social media, and then just it kind of blew up. And then, next thing I know, it was just this whole ordeal. And I would take a lot of pictures back then, and, had a professional camera. So just like eventually really invested in it and was very active on social media, helping some other companies with marketing and promotion, and, that whole thing. And it just really became this huge, like, ordeal in my life, kind of unexpectedly. And then since after I've gotten out, I've deleted a lot of those pictures. I've kind of stepped away from social media, always being out there, always putting my stuff out there. It just, I my perspective on the world and my perspective on my purpose here has just greatly changed over the last couple of years. And social media now, I try to keep at a very big distance. So that's why, because same thing, people will come on my page and be like, he's got just a couple pictures, but there's a lot of followers. Like, just hard to put together like what's going on here. And it's just deleted a lot of things and taken a really big, healthy step back. As I've gotten out. So
When you get out, we all fall into this like, I'm kind of bummed. From it ranges from kind of bummed to suicidal. That's a wide range in there. But the farther you get out, you kind of calm down. Is that Do you attribute that to the farther you are from your and or from your retirement date? You're just kind of you know not as entrenched with the SF life.
yeah, I think, and I had a particularly rough transition out. So I medically retired, and the first year or two was just absolutely rough. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. All of my first, second plans, none of those worked out. It was extremely difficult. I think transitioning out of the military is easily one of the hardest things to go through, for a wide variety of reasons. But it really took me, I'd say about a year and a half, 2 years to start kind of hitting my stride again and start really settling into this new life and what my new role is. And a lot of different things that I did along the way that helped make the transition easier, helped make that change of mindset and perspective a lot easier. One of those things being ayahuasca down in Peru. That was a huge thing that kind of helped reset and being like, all right, that life is done. Um, you need to transition to your next role, your next purpose in life, and really embody that. So it's taken time, but now I feel, now that I'm about 3.5 years out from retirement, I'm feeling a lot more settled, and I feel a lot more like transitioned. Yeah, it just takes time, and I think it's rough for everybody for varying degrees.
Yeah, it's bad enough when you ETS, and then retirement, full retirement. You're like, okay, I'm done, but you still
Yeah,
think you can do it. You say, but it's time to be done. I'm not going to make E8 or E9
uh-huh.
or whatever it's like there's nothing left because you only get a couple more years after 20 if you haven't made 8 or whatever it is. Um, but then I medically retired. Like I didn't want to get
Yeah,
fucking medically retired. Um, I don't want to be medically retired now. I think I can still do
yeah,
it. I really do. Can I get hit in the head? No, I cannot get hit in the head. So I can't be on a team. Um, and they said at the thing, they're like, would you reclass to your MOS? And now I'm like, maybe I should have done that. I don't know if I would have been able to
Yeah.
stay in, but I could have, stayed and still done stuff. I could have been an instructor maybe. But if I knew then what I know now about how to be a weasel in group, I would still be in. Like I'd be at the schoolhouse, or I'd be in hiding in. But I don't know. Then I think about, is hiding out good? Would that have been healthy in the long run? Of
Yeah, I think that all depends on perspective. I think we've both seen guys who transition to a SWIC role, and that slowdown does amazing things for them, right? They take that extra time to really, you know, heal from whatever they may have needed to heal from, or just really slow down and not get caught up in the constant deployments. And then we've also seen guys where, and I'm one of these guys where all that slowing down, getting to SWIC was not a good thing. You know what I mean? Like I was just used to high, heavy op tempo and all that free time. It just, you can fill it with the wrong things. So who knows? I think I look back on the same thing and wonder, it's like, man, I wish I would have maybe tried to do this differently, or maybe just, when I medically retired, it was just right about 16 years. So I was like, man, maybe I should have just found a role and just ride out the last 4 years, but I think the timing, I got out when I needed to get out. So I'm very grateful for that. And there's no difference between me waiting 4 more years and get out in 20 versus me medically retiring at 16. At least, with all the benefits and financial compensation, like it's all the same. So um, I'm definitely grateful. But when I medically retired, it was right during COVID. So it was like the worst time to try to retire. All the shops are closed. There's no honor foundation or transition group to help, so that really made transitioning out a lot more difficult when everybody was just like electronically signing your documents. And I still have my active duty cat card. Like I never turned that in. I never got a retirement card until like a year and a half after I was retired. Like it was just such a disaster, man. But um, yeah.
yeah, uh, yeah, that's even more disassociated from the army, right? You have to clear and everything,
Yeah.
and there's nobody around. Nobody, because I was on Rear D in 18, and everybody's in Afghanistan, and I was like, well,
Yeah. It
bye.
feels weird. Like you're just kind of slipping
As
out.
soon as Yeah, as soon as I signed that property book over, I
Yeah.
stopped coming to work, and because that was the only thing tying me there for months, was the property book. And so they gave me some specialist. I was like, "Here you go,
Good luck.
kid. Uh, good luck with this." It's like, "What is this?" It's like, "I don't fucking know. It's in that box right there. I'm gonna go. And even if you don't sign for this, I'm still getting out of the army. There's nothing you can do about it." So, um, we'll get to the ayahuasca, but more back on the Instagram. You had been doing that, like, primarily while you're on a team and running and
Yeah,
gunning and
so
stuff.
it was right about the time when the first active duty SF guys started popping up on social media. This is before, now every group has a social media account. Every group is putting content out. But in 2015, 16, like if you're active duty Green Beret and you've popped up on social media, like it was like whack-a-mole. So um, really treaded the line on that. But yeah, just I think that whole special operations culture just really started to become a thing on social media. And, I had varying team sergeants over the years that felt different ways about it. Some were nonchalant, like, hey, as long as you're not violating any OPSEC, you're not like, endangering the mission or making the unit look bad, I don't give a shit. But other team sergeants were just like, absolutely not. And just like, okay. So had to learn and play by those rules. But and it's weird now seeing first group have their own Instagram, and they're putting out content that I
Yeah.
wouldn't have even put out years ago. I'm like, ooh, so the the world and lifestyle has definitely changed. But yeah, it was weird being, you know, on the early stage of this wave, and just riding it for a couple of years. It was just an unexpected side quest for sure.
I it's interesting for me. Like I'm not, because Nate at Valhalla, right? Like he's the guy. He's giving the opinions on everything and telling everybody exactly what it feels. But he has way more experience. He's got the resume and he can speak to all avenues. I'm pretty limited. I never got to deploy. I didn't get to do all the. I didn't even really get to do all the Green Beret stuff. I was basically a support guy for my time in group after I got hurt. So, but I will be critical of like recruiting and the SF groups pages and shit, being like, because I don't think they're doing enough. Like if they're closing teams down in all the groups, they've
Wow.
shut a team off, and it's like my team 1335 is closed now. There's five. And I don't know if yours did, but your company lost a team
Huh.
2 months ago, but I don't think the groups are doing enough. Like the old recruiting ways are that's it. That's over. Like that's not motivational anymore. There's a lot more that goes into it and things like that. But yeah, it's interesting to see the stuff they're putting up. I think they're going to need to do more, especially with how good the Rangers
Yeah, the
content is.
Ranger battalions,
It's
they got it pretty dialed in.
yeah, I said in my thing a couple days or a couple weeks ago, it's like we need to be borderline violating OPSEC on these recruiting ads. I was
Yeah.
like, that's an exaggeration, but
Yeah.
we need to do more. I go scroll through SFAS's Instagram. I was like, this isn't enough, kids. This
Yeah,
isn't enough.
because that is like the primary recruiting factor for today. And I think that's why special operations and active duty operators on Instagram are such a powerful recruiting tool. It's because these kids that want to become SF, they want to go be an operator, they want to see what it's really like. They want to see behind the scenes in daily life and really get an understanding. And I think um, that's something group has to lean into, and USOC as a whole. And just, this is recruiting nowadays. It's through social media. But I think special operations also has a problem filling the ranks because of retention, just as much as a recruiting problem. You know what I mean?
Oh, so bad.
There's no lack of hungry 20-year-olds out here. You know what I mean? Like they're out here. And you see these guys, they show up as X-rays, they're studs, they knock it out of the park for a couple of years, but then there's no huge incentive for them to stay. You know what I mean? So then the turnover rate is just, it's hard to keep up with. And I don't know what the answer to that is, but it's definitely a problem.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the retention rate, it was bad when I was in. It was bad before I got there. It's bad since then. Um, and I don't know. I don't even think I thought about it when I was there. I was like, there's no other option. I'm here. I'm
Yeah.
where I want to be, and like I'm not going anywhere. So I never thought like that. But they would have to, I don't know if they're just not getting the information from the people when they don't stay in. Like why are they collecting that? Is somebody collecting that in lesson learned, and then or just nobody pays attention to it? I'm sure that these discussions are being had, but I really believe that the generational gap is too big. It's way too big from leadership at SOCOM to um, the next generation, like
Yeah.
people coming in right now. Because, and you're like, oh, that's not true. It's only 20 years, right? It's only a 20-year career. That's not fucking true at all. When those people joined, they didn't have cell phones. When the people that were born, they had cell phones and completely connected. They're not even touching generations. There's 3 generations in between the leadership at SOCOM and the people coming in now. And there's no way possibly that they can understand, no matter who they have telling them the information, that they can understand what's going on at this low level now. They
Yeah.
might think they can. Then they might be lying to themselves that they have all the information from all these people, and we got influencers and all this other shit. No, there's no way you can understand. You can try
Yeah.
to, but you can't. And I think it's too big of a gap. Um, and that'll work itself out over the next several years, for good or for bad. But that's just what I think. If anybody wants to shit on me in the comments, lesser known operators at
Yeah.
gmail.com. But like, I don't understand the shit the kids say across the street, and I'm only what 25 years older than them. I don't even understand what the fuck they're saying. The little kids
Yeah.
that live over here. I'm like, what are you talking about? So that has to transfer over into the adult world, I think. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, or you disagree with me, come on the show. I'll debate you.
Debate.
So, but yeah, it's just things are progressing so fast. There's so much information and short attention spans and all this other news and recycles, all this other bullshit. I don't know. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
think that's definitely part of it. I think the attention span, but also, at least when I was still in, like they would do those command climate surveys, and that was their way of like checking in at the ground level with the teams and the operators and getting the feedback from them. But that feedback really depends on, and they would try to make it anonymous, like, oh, we don't know who's sending this in, but that feedback depends on people actually caring enough to give explicit feedback that lays out, this is the problem, this is the proposed solution, blah, blah, blah. But also, are the people in charge going to listen to what these command climate surveys reveal if it goes against what they feel is best or goes against what their perspective? No. So it's it's one of those things where the Army's like, hey, we're listening to our guys, we do these command climate surveys. Well, they just check the box, and dudes know if I speak up, it's just going to go on deaf ears, or I'm just going to bring heat on myself. So I'll just not say shit and I'll just get out. And unfortunately, I think that's kind of been the deal for the last couple of years, especially as GWAT has closed down. I mean, I was in Afghanistan for the last time, and as things were shutting down, we're like in negotiations one day with the Taliban, the next day we got green light and we're going out, and it's just back and forth, back and forth. And I think for a lot of dudes, that was just like, all right, this is the end of the book. I mean, that was a good time to just kind of ride off in the sunset. So
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. I can't like quite put my finger on it, like, because there's just, as I said, that generational shift, and it's not because you, even just talking, you sound like you what you see, because you're my age.
yeah,
I'm 38.
37.
How old are you? Okay. Actually, I might be 37. Who cares? Um, and you're we're gonna see stuff differently than people just a few
Yeah,
years older than us, because it's just a different thing. And there's demarcation lines throughout the every 5 years or so with different generations, like even with
yeah,
the course, right? Like, we went through a course that's not even the same now. They've changed
yeah,
so much shit about it, and but it's the course is generally the same, but they've taken so much stuff out. I don't know if that's better or worse or harder or easier. I had some pretty shitty days. I didn't think the course was that hard overall. I had some really shitty points in there, like some really fucking shitty days, but I didn't
yeah,
think it was that hard. But they're always trying to make it more optimal. And then somebody told me the other night, some page I'm messaging with, and he's like, "Oh yeah, they've taken this out, they've taken that out, they've optimized the course." I was like, "What the
yeah,
fuck does that mean?" Like, they've optimized it. So, the kid, the, and what did he say? He said the caliber of dudes coming out of the course has slowly stepped down, no matter how much SOCOM wants to admit it or not. It's
yeah,
true. It's like, yeah, that's from his
yeah,
perspective. It's true, right? So, but I'm hearing that more and more. And this isn't like to draw it into like shit on. So, like, the guys there are
yeah.
still studs. It's just,
Yeah,
Things change.
and I've heard that, and I've heard that from guys that were working over in SWIC at selection or at different parts of the queue. Um, and I think that's like one aspect of it is that's a normal part. Like we're now the OGs, we're now the old heads, and the new guys coming in, we're all like, they're not shit. The same way when we were new guys showing up, the old school guys were like, these new guys are soft. You know what I mean? So there's that aspect of it, but I don't know. Like I've been fortunate enough now that I'm in Nashville, I've run into a couple fifth group guys here, younger guys just getting to teams, and they're studs. You know what I mean? Like they have the same mindset that we had when we were getting into the teams, and so it's hard for me to know is that just us being old and just kind of like bitching and doing what every generation has done as they got replaced, or is there some truth to it? And I think kids these days are certainly growing up different than how we grew up. They're not outside playing all day. There's you can go into the studies about bone density and more like serious injuries at selection because of decreasing bone density in newer generations. I don't know. My only hope is that there continues to be a good stream of just studs that are wanting to do the work and put in the effort for this country.
They're all capable of it. It's they want to. Do you want to do it, or are you exposed to like greatness, like the appearance that you could be great? Are you
Yeah.
exposed to that? Like, when I got into wrestling as a kid, the chance that I could win was a driving factor that I could go win a tournament. You get that little glimpse of how good you could be if you trained, if you practiced, and then go into basic training, and then having that glimpse of I can be better than everybody here, and then doing it, and then doing it again, and then going to selection and doing it again, and then you get just once you get a little bit, you want more and more. Everybody can do it. You just have to try. Like it's not just try. You just have to force yourself to go that direction, and it doesn't have to be in like SF. It could be in fucking theater. Like if you're really passionate about acting, be better than other people. Work harder than it, work harder than everybody else in what you're good at and try to be great at that. I think it's just that fear of failing at trying to be great at what you love to do. Everybody can do it. Like there's kids just as tough as I was that like maybe their just mindset's not where mine was to get me to that point. And that's okay too. But hopefully either through listening to interviews or social media to see, man, I would like to entice people. I would like to do that. That
Yeah.
would be cool. The end state, to see the end state, not the fucking selection. Like that sucks. Like selection fucking blows. Like, but that's the interview. What do you get to do? What's all the cool shit that you get to do? Now, that's where my knowledge is limited. But I'm not shitting on the old generation. They're going to see the new generation coming in as weak, just the same way our cadre saw us as
Yeah.
weak and whatever. So I try to, I was like, don't get caught up in that. I'm like, that's okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Like whatever, everything swings. Like we just were at war for 22 years, and the guys that said that were the cadre when we went through the course, they're like, just wait until things go back to how they were in the 90s when we didn't have money to go to the range. Like we were in POVs going to the range, and if we wanted to shoot extra, we had to go buy our own
Yeah.
rounds and shit. And we're throwing like rocks as grenades into the shoot house and shit. Like, just wait, it's going to go back to that.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to go. Everything's going to swing back the other way.
Yeah. Everything that goes up has to come down. And I started to see that a little bit, I think, towards the last couple of years where just like your ammo allotment starts shrinking. It was like the heydays of, everybody's got enough ammo to outfit their personal stash and, all that stuff. That's all, yeah, allegedly,
Allegedly.
going to the shoot house as much as you want. Like I just watched like those numbers dwindle each year. They would just cut it and cut it and cut it. And getting to that point as the wars were shutting down, it was like, this isn't fun. I love the days where you just go out and shoot every week. Um, but
Yeah, but now the big one, and not to get, I mean, I think we'll beat this one. This last point on this one, the social media and stuff, was you saw the budget getting cut down, and then, but everybody who's, I don't know, doing their job at their unit, watching their budget get cut down, watching their rounds go away, watched on Saturday the U.S. Army send 30 YouTubers or Instagram, what are they called? Influencers, TDY, to Washington, D.C. for a parade and paid for it. So I get some of that of like, you're slashing our operational budget, but all this pomp and circumstance. It's not a great time for something like that to
yeah,
come up.
like the last thing that should be getting cut are funding to stay operational, to stay lethal, to stay sharp. And then you see them spending money on whatever. I mean, you'll see it inside a group. They'll spend a bunch of money on something, be like, why? Like, we don't need that. Like, what we need is we need more training. We need more rounds. We need more. But
Yeah, yeah. September 30th was always a great day at group. You were a Bravo, but I don't know if you
yeah,
remember end of year spending.
yeah.
Uh, Charlie's, it was like the Super Bowl every year. We're ready for it because the commander would come in at 3:30 in the afternoon. Hey, we have to spend $400,000 by the end of the day.
I got a
Oh,
list already.
okay, good. Good thing I'm going to click send
Yeah,
on that purchase order right now. Got you, sir. Um, yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do, but I don't know what's going to happen in the news, right? I don't like, the news, good, bad, indifferent, all kinds of tensions out there. But I'm in my basement making my content, and I don't know. And people ask like, "Is there any chance of you going back in?" I said, "Listen, if I'm going back
yeah,
in, we are fucked. You're dead. The country is fallen if I'm going back. Yeah, and." And if they get to the point where they're calling me, I'm loading the guns up in the truck and I'm going to the fucking woods. Like I ain't fucking going back to that shit. We're done because the nukes are gonna start
yeah,
flying soon. If
yeah. I think
oh,
it would have to
we're
be
fucked.
something very different than what we're seeing now and what we've been experiencing for the last couple decades for me to feel like there's a moral obligation for me to jump back in. You know what I mean? I think,
No, the
sure,
want, I
yeah,
still have that. Like I've explored giving up my ratings and everything and trying to
really,
get back in. Uh, it wouldn't be responsible of me to do because the injuries are still there. I could be okay. I could pass a physical and I could get everything fine. I can't. The, the potential injury of getting hit anywhere in my head is there, and that won't go away. So that's not responsible of me. But I still want to get back in like
that's a real
tomorrow.
thing, man. Like when especially after you get out and you start reflecting and thinking about like all of the head injuries, all of the things, you're like, man, I'm really grateful for the mental acuity that I have now. Do I really want to risk it and just because I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen, but you get around some of the old team guys that contracted for another 2 decades after getting out and retiring. And it's like they're that same like kind of boxer punch drunk thing where they've eaten too many door charges, they've fired too many goose rounds, and it's just like affecting their thought and their speech. And it's like, man, we just didn't appreciate how often our bell was getting rung. You know what I mean? Just in training, not even in combat. So that's something I take more serious now, and I look like, man, I can't be racking up too many more concussions. Like I've had some spectacular concussions throughout my life, and I don't know how many more I got in the tank.
I interviewed a guy yesterday, and he's like in 2017. No, in 18. He's like, I was supposed to go on that deployment, and they wouldn't let me go because I had just had a concussion. I was like, I do apologize. You probably weren't able to go because of me getting hurt
Yeah,
the way I did, because all of the leadership was still there when I got all those blows, and then everyone's like, they were real cautious about concussions at that time, and then moving forward even more because I had gotten those three, and like I was fucking useless. I could do my sports stuff, but I couldn't. I was off. I was just on the B team bouncing around. So yeah, that's they've become it's the thing. They're like, oh, this fucks dudes up, and we've been ignoring it
yeah, and
forever.
I am glad to see that they are taking it seriously because I can remember getting blown up in Afghanistan. You know what I mean? After getting medevac, the only concussion test was like trying to do like one of those maze tests. You know what I mean? There's like, oh well, you're not slobbering on yourself, and you can tell me what date it is, so you're good to go back to the back out. And it was just like we're not fully appreciating what's happening to our brains. You know what I mean? We don't fully understand what the repercussions of this. So I am glad that group is taking it more seriously, even though it keeps guys from being operational. You know what I mean? Like they just want to get back to it, but
I think no, I know the reason it took so long for everybody to take it seriously is because the patient
yeah, of
just
course,
lied about it
yeah,
for years. Just blatantly, flat out lied. You good? Yeah, I'm good. Just like the football player does on the team. I got two in wrestling. Fucking unfortunately, the whole room's fucking padded. How did you get two in wrestling? Well, I was very unlucky. Um, one was bad, and like you just lie about it, and you're like, no, I'm good. No, I'm not having nightmares. No, I'm not. Weird sleep or Uh, I noticed one, like I if I'm getting tired, and not like physically tired, because I do pretty like my schedule is pretty good now. But if I'm like too like mentally tired on something, I get this like skip in my eyes, like they'll roll trying to go to this one thing, and then only when I'm starting to get tired, and that's I'm like, man, that wasn't always there, was it? Was it? Yes, maybe it was, but just little stuff like that, and you're like, it's nothing, you know, um, or um, skipping in time, like skipping in conversations to where you're talking and then you're like, how
yeah,
did I get here? Oh, that's nothing. That's nothing, that's fine. I did that just happen? Nope. And then you
yeah,
just lie about it. And then people ask you, you're fine. And then you just drink and then you just like, oh, I'm drunk or I'm hungover. And you attribute it to something else. So we just we did it to ourselves. And then we get into leadership positions up and up and up where you lying to yourself about what you went through, you put that on somebody else and you have no
yeah.
empathy for what they're going through because you toughed it out. So you've created your own abusive cycle based on no outside information, just everything going on in your head. Now, there's no science in this at all. So I just, I don't know. What do you think? You're because you said you've
Yeah,
gone
I
through that
mean,
a
I
lot.
think especially like you and I like got to group around the same time. I feel like I got to group at a time where the old school SF was still there. There were the team sergeants and upper leadership. Um, but it was during the time of changeover for like the new generation of SF coming in. So, and growing up in the infantry for 7 years prior to going SF, like it was old school mentality. You don't share your emotions. You don't tell people when you're struggling. It's always like, I'm good. I can continue the mission. You know what I mean? You just continue sweeping things under the rug. And if you're having a hard time, just go drink with the boys, go burn it off in town, and that was the pervasive culture throughout the regular army and then in SF, especially the old school SF guys. Um, that was very much so. And all it does is just causes dudes to get burnt out or worse, kill themselves years down the road because they didn't have healthy ways to blow off steam or to manage all of the stress that we're under 24/7. Our only outlet is just go getting shit faced with the boys. Turns out that doesn't work so well in the long run. It works great for a few years, you know what I mean? You just forget about all your problems. You just compartmentalize things. But after a while, your compartmentalization breaks down and the drinking turns dark. It's no longer fun. It's miserable. It's keeping you down, and but that is the culture in the Army. That was the culture in SF. And I think only recently you're starting to see guys approach it in different ways. You're starting to get some of the newer generation SF guys and team sergeant and sergeant major roles now, and they're speaking a different message. So my hope is that that change is happening where there's no longer a culture of like you got to continue pushing no matter what at the detriment of your family, at the detriment of your mental health. Like, no, you know what I mean? If you're struggling, like we're not going to encourage you to go out and drink. We're not like you're going through a divorce. We're not going to encourage you to go out and just start sleeping with somebody because we've seen time has shown that that is just going to lead to just you just burning up. And I think that's definitely a shift that I would love to see happen, and I think it's already happening, where guys are getting wise to the this isn't the best way to have longevity in this career. You can't just burn it down drinking yourself to death. You gotta you gotta take your breaks.
Yep. And one of my points earlier was like, leadership they can't understand. But, that's a good quality of leadership is to like, if you don't know something, get other people that do know to make the correct decision in those places. So maybe some of that's like you see team sergeants are getting younger and younger. Battalion like E9s at we're seeing E9s at 15
Crazy,
years, I think,
crazy.
in SF. I was like, man, if you really want to change the leadership over in group,
Yeah,
that's how you do it. You take an X-ray that was, God, in 2010, going through SOPSI, and now they're in charge of a company. That's not very long at all, and you're going to see, there's all these things. Like, you want to see some charts? We get an 18 Fox in here and we start drawing lines that go to this and that. But you start getting younger sergeant majors. Well, their buddies that are getting out, well, then maybe they'll stay in, Oh, Jim's my sergeant major now. I don't want, we went through the course together. I don't want to get out because
yeah,
he's the, so where you have that. So maybe there's more. Maybe there's more behind the curtain. There always was whenever you looked behind there. There was always all this other shit going on. So maybe they're putting that much thought into it of how do we fix these things and switch over the generations to get to the new one, because whether we like it or not, the one we were in is gone. Like it's over.
totally would.
And this new wave of technology and warfare coming in, then that's how it's going to be. And yeah, I don't know. But as we get the new younger folks in that don't drink, um, that and one of my guests episode hasn't come out, Bruce Barkman of the Broken Brains podcast. He's like, this is the first, for the most part, the first generation where these kids growing up have truly been loved their whole life. And he said his generation, and I'm paraphrasing, I'd have to watch the episode back, but his generation, and then currently like a huge portion of special forces guys, and then in the past, like came from families where their fathers did not love them or care for them at all, or treated them like shit, broken home childhood trauma. And that's not the case anymore of the dudes that are coming in. So you've got all this, we got this psychology shift, and then people that don't drink, and then they've seen love from their household and the news, and they don't want to be
Yeah,
part of this whole
you
thing.
know,
It's fucking crazy, the difference. And then we get back to me saying leadership there's no fucking way they can understand. That's where that comes in, right? For all this change and shift over 30 years. So
yeah,
um, maybe it will shift towards the better, but I really think it's all going to be swept to the side when we have to go kill people. Like,
yeah.
hey,
You're gonna need those. You're gonna need those dudes with shitty childhoods and a lot of aggression and anger. To to fight those GWAT style wars. But that's something I really appreciated about the X-ray program is it did bring in a whole different perspective versus the guys like me who grew up in the regular army who are doing things the old way, the tough guy way. It's like that brings a good balance and a good blend to a team. Now, of course, I may not have felt this way the first couple of years on a team. Like, oh, these X-rays, like they don't know shit, like blah blah blah. But like looking back, and especially after I started to realize it and really became close with the guys that were X-rays in my team, it was like this is a good thing. There's they may not have picked up some of the good perspectives or traits from being in the regular army, but they also didn't pick up the bad ones too. And that's a great thing. You know what I mean? You can have X-rays come in and be like, why are we doing things this way? And it's like, it doesn't really make sense. And it's like, you know what? Actually, you're kind of right. This is just kind of the way we've always done it in the army. And it actually doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So there's some good and bad to it. But I do think that a benefit of younger team sergeants, younger sergeant majors is they are able to more effectively connect with their guys and understand what they're going through and understand how to help them and put them on the right track, because a team sergeant is really like being a big brother, being a dad, like you care for your guys and you want to see them do well, not just at work, but outside of work. So being able to connect with your guys and mentor them in the right ways is a huge thing.
Yeah, no, I'm not bashing X-rays at all. They have a tremendous value. I do think they missed out on so all the X-rays that I kind of graduated with, we all came into the army on at the same time. I just went to the regular army, had a fucking blast. I hated it, my unit, but I had a lot of fun. Like I manipulated it to a situation. I had a good time. Um, they went to SOPSI, basic AIT, SOPSI, just get shit on. And then if you get there at the wrong time, then you just get shit on for a longer time. And then we all showed up at selection at the same time. Me, like king shit of Turd Mountain at my unit, and they're shaved heads and they look like they've fucking,
Emaciated.
taken like they're just jacked and,
Yeah.
but like skinny
Yeah.
jacked, like they're just like, um, like the lowest level bodybuilding show. Like they're fucking muscular, but they have no body fat. Like, dude, it's like, what is going on with those dudes? I didn't know anything. I was like, what is that? Who are they? And then we exchanged stories. I was like, when did you go to basic training? Oh, April, and then basic. And then we came here. I was like, oh man, I went in April. And then I've been chilling at my unit, like, you know, what the fuck
They
is
had
wrong
just
with
been
you?
getting dragged through the dirt for
Um,
a year at that point, a
just
year and a half.
just fucked up. So, I went but I got hurt and then I went back. So I spent 2 years in the regular army, but I learned I know and I was on staff. So I learned a little bit more about how army and the things work. It clouded my vision of the regular army in that I thought that the whole regular army was like that. I was in a fucking like shitty field artillery unit in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which Fort Sill blows, field artillery blows. Oklahoma sucks. And unless you're listening to lesser known
But no,
operators
Oklahoma's
and
great.
you live in Oklahoma, so Oklahoma's great. So, but, uh, I just didn't, I was like, I don't belong here. And, so I was like, I gotta go. So I did end up leaving, but I learned how staff works, like how to drill and ceremony, showing up to PT, accountability, the I learned a lot of the bad of what it was like in a unit with people that also didn't want to be there, but just wanted to get to 20 years so they could retire. And then so they didn't have to do anything for their whole lives after that. So I take that same year groups as X-rays when I get to the team. And then when we would go on training and stuff like that, like we go to MTC, like I can just walk right into a regular army unit and I know
How things work.
like staff sergeant, I can just, but I go to parade rest, right? You don't, because sometimes you won't have that in your head because you've only
Yeah.
seen things one way in the group way, and then the schoolhouse has gone to where I'm like, I can get, if I just show that I'm less than this person, like if I,
Yeah.
show proper respect, I can get what I want. And I did that oftentimes because I needed stuff from the regular army when we would go down there that we didn't have support for. And I would get it because I just knew how to go in and talk to the right person and be respectful. And I don't know, it's like a different, so I think there are some things missed out on that, but they all bring
Yeah.
skills to the team that
I
are
remember
very useful.
when I first got to my team, we had an 18 X-ray who was our Fox. He was a Charlie and then became a Fox, and he had to do group staff duty one day, and so he's up there doing that. We were still at the team room, getting to be end of the day COB, and we get a call from him up at group staff duty, and he's like, "Hey, I need some help. I don't know what to do up here." And we're like, "What's going on?" He was a senior E7 at this time, talking to us newer guys on team as E6s, and he's like, "Well, apparently I'm supposed to like take the flag down out front at the end of the day." And he was like, "I like, is there a certain way you're supposed to do it?" And we're like, "Are you kidding me? Like, you don't know how to like retire a flag and like fold it? You know what I mean? Like stuff that in the regular army, like you would have gotten taught in basic how to fold a flag. You would have gotten taught like how to drop it and all the other stuff. So it was like there are things that you need that you miss out on if you just go the 18 X-ray pipeline, because your whole time through SOPC and selection and Q course, you're in the SF environment where things are a lot more lax. You can talk to an instructor like a man, kind of face to face, and in certain aspects of the Q course. And yeah, so that was a situation that always stuck out in my mind. I was like, that's crazy. Like, how could you be a senior E7 and not know this? But you know,
it
yeah,
it just doesn't come up, and for it may have never come up because I never had to do staff duty while I was at group. I never did. I don't know if it was because I was on profile like the whole time or whatnot. Nothing ever came up. But I was always volunteering to leave anytime I could. Like Sergeant Major, hey, we need somebody. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll fucking do that. And most people hated NTC, but going as support,
for sure.
it's not that bad. Like it's not like I had fun, running around and like because there's nobody assessing you or anything like that. So you're just supporting teams and lanes and stuff. So I had fun every time, you know, doing stuff that other people didn't want to do. I had fun. Um, I think subconsciously I knew it was over. Like I knew this was only the fun I was ever going to have. Um, and so I just had a good time with it. Um, but yeah, those things may never come up, and you may never have to do them. So that's like the ones. Oh, why do we have to learn this? Well, you're a soldier, but also you may never
Yeah,
have to be a soldier um, until you take a team, and then you're like, oh
yeah,
fuck, I wish I knew
yeah.
some of
That's
these
exactly
things.
it.
What the fuck's a
I could
counseling?
do this every quarter. What are you talking about? Yeah,
Um, I I have never had a. I don't. I really think, and if any of my leadership at Fort Sill is listening to this or ever will listen to this, let me know. I don't think I have ever had a counseling um, for whatever reason, just timing didn't work out or just bad leadership or whatever. And then when I got to my team, my ODA, I did have an initial counseling meeting, but it was on a Word document, and there was another person in the room, and so he didn't want to do two of them, so he did us both at the same time off of this typed out Word document that I wish I still had. I didn't know that I would want it so badly now because I gave it to a platoon sergeant in the motor bay who hated my team sergeant. And he's like, "Is it true y'all got your initial counseling on a Word document?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll get it for you." And so I was getting out, so I just gave it to him. He's like, "Can I keep this?" I was like, "Yeah, whatever, man. I wish I had it now. It's so bad." But anyway, yeah, I never got a counseling. And you get stuff like that. Like this dude had no idea what he was doing administratively. Didn't know how to spell. Didn't know how to do anything. He's an idiot. So he's the only person I'll trash on the show. Fuck that guy. But yeah, the that's interesting. Like, but as we said, everything's going to change. It's going to evolve, and we'll see where it goes. But that's somebody else's problem now. Now we get to just sit back and just be the. It's creeping up like the old guys that are just sitting in the rocking chair
Yeah.
complaining about the new
Q
guys.
course isn't as hard as it used to be, and yeah, we're becoming that.
You know, well, you would understand this. You remember
Yes.
Joey Bag of Donuts or
Yeah.
Joey Bowl of Spaghetti? Um, he's been brought up. His I don't know if he's still in because he did Best Ranger a couple of years ago. So he might still be in. So I won't say his name. But if anybody is from our classes, they know exactly who we're talking about. He's out there at the STAR exam. This had to be summer of 13, and we're at the NTA, and he's sitting on top of the FLA, right? Just yelling at us how easy we have it now. And the course is so much easier now than it was when he went through. And one of the other cadre had, I guess, had enough of listening to this guy. And he just walks up and he just tests and he goes, "That's not true, dude. Like the course is harder now than when we went through." Cause I don't know their relationship. And he, like the look on his face, he's like, "It is? You serious?" He's like, "Yeah, dude." And he goes, "Well, forget everything I just said, guys. Like why? I don't know if the course is harder now, easier now, whatever. I tell people I was in the first easy class because I had it. I had an easier time than the people I graduated with. Um, but my buddies, some of my buddies, had a miserable time, like a fucking horrible time,
Yeah.
and we did the same shit. So
Experience
I don't
definitely
know.
varies in selection.
Experience.
You know, you could be doing the same things, but just wildly different experiences and perspectives of it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, God, it's crazy. It is. We're getting closer. I don't think I've gotten anybody really in my graduating class yet, but we're
I
one
remember
apart.
old
So
Billy Bag
that's
of Donuts
we're getting
in
close.
White Lightning, just running dudes to death. Um, yeah, that was a kind of a unique experience because I went to selection as an E6, as a senior squad leader in the infantry. So I'd get to selection, and then especially going through the Q course, you could relate with these guys, and there would be some guys you come across, you're like, oh, this wasn't like a promotion placement for you. This was like you were getting kicked off the teams and they had nowhere to put you. You know what I mean? And it was always the guys that were the loudest and the shittiest towards the students. Where I'm looking at this guy, E6, no combat tab, working at SWIC. You know what I mean? It was like, why are you not at group, dude? Like what, So it was, I don't know, man. You definitely get a mix. There's a lot of great instructors throughout the queue, but then there's some that are there that just want to make life miserable for everybody. And you're like, all right, bro. Like, I hate that you hate your own life, but you don't have to just make it miserable for everybody for no reason.
Do you remember? I don't know because we had a. You remember the tax? And this was later. It was Thanksgiving. Yeah, we had just finished Sear, and I don't know if you remember this. Like we did a formation, and our cadre was out front, and he did a roll call, and it was Wednesday before Thanksgiving in the morning. And we did roll call. He gave us some information. He said, "Okay, I'll see you on Monday or whatever, Tuesday, whenever we had to be back." And we get released. We come back and we do roll call again. And some dipshit, he calls out this kid's name, and some dipshit in the back goes, either says present or at dental or something like that. So he marks him present for duty. The dude had killed himself right after formation
Oh,
on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever. And he marked him present for duty that Tuesday. We never saw that cadre ever again. Do you remember that story
I
or anything?
feel like I remember that story, but I also feel like there's always stories like that going on in the Q course with instructors and tax, and so I can't recall specifically that one, but it does sound familiar.
Yeah, we never saw that guy
Yeah,
again. He was gone. Like, whew, talk
yeah,
about a
that's a
major fuck
that's a
up.
pretty big one.
Um,
It's tough.
Oh yeah, it was a crazy time, and people just dropping off and showing up, and you just pass the course, and then it's off to group, and you're like, oh, but things are gonna be great. Things are gonna be great, and I was like, no, I'm going to a dive team. Fucking things sucked, but would go back, man. So you said you did 16 years, so that puts you enlisting at what,
2006.
28,
2006.
2008,
Yeah.
2006. So is that right out of high
It
school for
was a
you?
year after high school, so I'll say I took a gap year after high school. In reality, it just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I was born and raised in Florida. I was still down in Florida at the time. My parents had moved to Tennessee. Um, Stayed in Florida after graduating high school, just working some dead end jobs, but really just started kind of getting into some trouble. So I moved to Tennessee and was working and started going to school here, and was just really like, man, what am I doing? Like, I want to do something with like a purpose. So then eventually that led to the Army, but I had a super bad motorcycle wreck and couldn't work for about 3 months.
What was your goal walking into the recruiter's office? Did you know what you wanted to do, or you just kind of like, "Ah, fuck it, I'm gonna go be a stripper"?
No, I at that point I knew specifically I wanted to be infantry. So I luckily took the ASVAB while I was still in high school, and my parents were like, "Dude, you need some guidance. You need some authority in your life." I was just pretty careless, pretty reckless. So I took the ASVAB in high school. 2 years later, I'm getting ready to join. The ASVAB was still good, so I knew I wanted to go infantry because at that time, Blackwater started to really be a big thing on the news, and this was 2005. You're getting videos of them on YouTube from Najaf in Iraq, and it was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I looked on Blackwater's website, and it was like, what's the minimum requirements to become, work for Blackwater? And it was minimum of like 4 years in either the Army or Marine infantry and like some other things. So I was like, all right, I'm going to join the infantry for 4 years. I'm going to go to war. I'm going to go see what this is all about. I'm going to go become a man and do my 4 years, quick little adventure in and out, and then go work for Blackwater or do something. So that was my big drive to join the Army. I mean, I remember watching 9/11 as a freshman in high school, but I never had family that served in the military. So it wasn't this huge drive of patriotism that led me to the Army. It was just like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. The most coolest, fun thing I could think of would be going to war, growing up on Rambo movies and all that stuff. So I went to the recruiter and pulls up my ASVAB, and he's like, dude, you got a 121 GT score. He was like, you qualify for every job available in the Army. And my recruiter was like a satellite communications guy. And so he was like, I would really highly encourage you to do the satellite communications. You do 4 years, get out, you're working a six-figure job automatically, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I want to go infantry. He was like, what are you talking about, dude? He's like, like Iraq just kicked off a few years ago. Like, if you join the infantry, like you're going to war. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, that's what I want to do. I just want to do 4 years of infantry, blah, blah, blah. He tried to talk me out of it so much. And I was like, this is it. It's infantry or nothing. I didn't know about Ranger contracts. I didn't know about X-ray contracts. He didn't tell me about any of those things. Um, had I known at the time, maybe I would have picked up one of those, but I also think I needed some time in the regular Army before I tried selection. So, yeah, I ended up joining, got a $40,000 sign on bonus for 4 years in the infantry, like unheard of. And, yep, signed up and then shipped out the basic like the next month. And, yeah, went down to Georgia for basic right in the middle of summer. It's just a really great time to be there.
Fuck yeah, I don't know if it was intentional, but I like the Rick and Morty reference. Quick little adventure, in
Yeah,
and
yeah.
out.
In and out, turned into
I
16
don't know if
years.
I don't know if that was intentional, but good
Yeah.
job if you got it in there. You said '05, 2005, Blackwater. So shout out to my buddy Morgan Lorette here. Still haven't read your book, but I got my first signed book there, Guns, Girls, and Greed. He was one of the Blackwater operators that you're talking about in Iraq at that time that you're
Yeah.
seeing the footage on. His episode will come out here in a couple weeks, but when this comes out, it'll have been a couple weeks ago. So we're talking now. We're back in the Rick and Morty time thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's funny. It's like this. Everybody's connected somehow that comes on the show, and there's like people in different areas or eras, and we're all just intertwined in this machine, and it's interesting. So I can see, if your recruiter was a satellite communications guy, he's obviously, thinks everybody should be a satellite communication guy. Who walks in and wants to be infantry that scores above a 110 on the GT?
Yeah. Just like it was unfathomable to him. He was like, dude, it's like peak Iraq time right now. You know what I mean? He was like, why would you want this? And I was like, it's what I want. In hindsight, I can't imagine how potentially different life would be had I done that. But I don't think I would have been happy. I think I was truly happiest, being in the infantry and then going on SF. Like that was my happy spot. So I think I would have probably been miserable, being some nerd somewhere.
Yes, you would have. I can guarantee it. I 100% guarantee it because even though I was field artillery, I never ever did that job. I went to staff at a desk, and then uh, once I started being like standing out, I was more at a desk. Like you definitely don't get to do your job if you're good at PT or winning boards or all this like other shit. You don't get to do. You have to do other stuff. You're over here in this protected class or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you think about thinking back, like 2005, 2006, you could have been in the brutal years of being an 18 X-ray if you had been like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Um, and then you would have been out at Mott Lake getting the shit smoked out of you in icy water.
Yeah. I don't think I would have made it at that point going to 18 X-ray. I was not mature enough. I don't think I had the discipline or the motivation to really push through all of that hard shit like SOP-C and all of that stuff. And also coming off the street, I grew up, as always the skinny kid. Like when I joined the army, I was 6 foot, 145 pounds. You know what I mean? Like soaking wet. So I don't think I was strong enough. I don't think I was fast enough. I don't think I was mature enough to have been able to make it through the X-ray program. So I think going to the infantry was the best thing for me. And, I had a lot of really good leaders in the infantry. I was stationed with the 101st here at Campbell. And my first deployment was 15 months to Iraq and then turned around, did 12 months in Afghanistan. And I had really great leadership that really instilled to me like what it means to be a great leader, what it means to be a great soldier, and really like just knocking out years of grunt work and understanding combat operations at that level. And I think that background really helped to make me a more successful 18 Bravo down the line. So I'm grateful. And back then, the infantry was a beast. It wasn't like the infantry now. Like we were out going out.
Oh, here we go. Here we go again.
Yeah,
Back in my day.
yeah. Like it. I definitely turned into that dude. But in Iraq and Afghanistan, like we would be able to go out just an infantry squad. Most of the times, we wouldn't even have any sort of air support unless you were already in a tick. Um, and then now seeing infantry guys now or last deployment in 2020, um, infantry couldn't go out by themselves. They could only go out if they were attached to an SF team. And I was just like, man, things have changed so much. But it was such a treat to be able to be in the infantry and, for the surge in Iraq and then the surge in Afghanistan to really just like get into a ton of gunfights and just that's the classic infantry. So I think that really helped me to grow up, to mature, and to understand the Army, how combat works, and just gave me a really great foundation that ultimately led me to be, successful with passing selection and going to a team.
So when did the thought of going to selection start creeping into your mind? Because I mean, it was like 6 minutes after I got to my unit that I
Yeah.
was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. But you had a different path and different mindset. When did that start creeping in? Because it's always there. The flyer or the little lawn, what do they call them? The lawn sign. It's always out there
Yeah.
when you drive by on post. It says Special Forces briefing at the library this Tuesday or whatever. Um, when did that start becoming forefront in your mind?
It definitely took some time. I think in my first couple years in the Army, it was just I'm a little fish in a big pond, and really just had to get my senses and get a new understanding of this world that I was in. Um, my second deployment at the infantry was in Afghanistan, and that one was a particularly rough deployment. Lost, four of my super close friends, tons of gunfights, but that was my first exposure in seeing SF dudes out in the wild. Um, every now and then they would pop up if we were doing like a big battalion clearance operation or whatever. These guys would pop up, and their ROE was different. They were way more effective. They were shooting first, asking questions later. Like, I was like, man, that is legit. Like, that's where I want to be. And growing up in sports, I was always very competitive, always wanted to be the best. Once I got exposed and saw them in Afghanistan, that planted a little seed. But with how rough that deployment was, and with losing that many friends and going through some of the fiercest combat that I would eventually see, I think I really, that seed started to grow out of just like vengeance. Like, I saw how, like, in the infantry, like, there would be some gunfights where we would get our ass handed to us. And I'm like, man, if I want to keep doing this and I really want to like go after guys, like, I need to be in a unit that are doing the real things. We're not just out presence patrolling, waiting to get in a gunfight. Like, I want to be with these guys that are out getting after it. So coming off that second deployment, it was real angry. I was real like bitter, and it was like, man, I want to get back in the fight, but I want to get back in the fight with like the best guys. So I came home from that deployment, PCS out to Hawaii, and with the intention of like slowing things down and taking a break. Just had a really rough deployment. That was my second deployment. I needed to slow down, kind of recalibrate, and figure out what I want to do next, because it was either I need to go to selection, I need to be SF, or I just need to get out. So I went out to Hawaii and got into a good unit there, got surrounded with some good dudes, and then really started taking working out seriously. Got a lot stronger, got a lot bigger, and then um, the two schools that really helped prepare me to go to selection, be successful, were RSLIC and Sniper School. So I got to do those two in the infantry before going to selection, and that built a lot of confidence in me. That was like, these are really hard schools. These are really tough to get and really tough to pass. And being able to pass those schools and pass them very well gave me a lot of confidence that I didn't have prior being in the infantry. Like, I just didn't think I would ever be able to make special forces. But after those two schools, I was like, man, I think I can do it. And the guys I was with at the time in the recon section in Hawaii, we were all trained up together. So we had a good group of dudes we lived in the gym. We were always training. And the SF recruiter out in Hawaii was just an absolute stud. Like, this dude PT'd us. He was so smart. He was trying out for TFO. So
Mm.
that really, a good 6 month train up really helped make me feel like, okay, I'm ready. I got a good group of dudes. We're all going to go together. So that was kind of how it started. I didn't think about SF early on. It was kind of slow development, but I think the timeline really worked it out in order to develop me and make me ready for SF.
You said you go out and get in gunfights and get your ass handed to you. Was that tactics wise or ROE wise, or what you were just outmanned?
A little bit of both. I mean, We were uh, in the thick of things down south at that time, and it was not uncommon to be caught in close ambushes through some thick foliage, the grape rows that are down there. Um, so it definitely was a combination of a lot of things. I know that there were a lot of bad situations that we got ourselves into because certain people making the calls didn't listen to the guys on the ground, or they had a battalion objective that they wanted to be able to write up in a sit rep or something, But um, that and not having air support like we were used to in SF, I think just enabled us to get into some pretty hellacious gunfights. And sometimes you'd find yourself outnumbered. So I think there were a lot of factors that led to that, but the ROE was also very different. Like they beat it into your head, the infantry. Like you better not have a CivCas incident. You better think twice before you pull a trigger. Like there were a lot of dudes that were very apprehensive to pull a trigger just because dudes were getting fried by their own units. So I think the culture was different, and a lot of the times our missions were just movement to contact. Like we know they're in this area, just take your guys out, head that way, and then make contact, and then we'll just develop the situation from there. So definitely a mix of things from ROE and tactics and things like that.
So, from your perspective as a sergeant at the time, right?
Yeah.
So, you know what you're being told by your leadership. Did you have any insight into what the SF team that you're seeing what their ROE was and their mission? Because you're obviously comparing what your situation is to theirs now, and like I want that situation. What's your perception of what they're going through?
Their ROE was a lot looser. They were able to be offensive without being shot at first. And essentially, our ROE for the infantry at the time was you cannot offensively engage. You have to be engaged first. So you could see guys moving around, setting up gun positions, whatever, but you're not pulling the trigger until they start shooting at you first. And then seeing SF guys show up and they're shooting before the getting shot at. You got guys in placing IEDs or setting up gun positions, and you got an SF dude up on the rooftop in a wife beater, backwards hat on the long gun, just like listen to a spotter call out like, "Hey, you see the guy with the shovel?" And it's like, "Yep, got him," and just send around. And it was just like, okay, these guys are proactive, getting after it because we're watching these guys establish um, positions and set in IEDs, but in the infantry, it was like, well, you have to wait till you're engaged, and it was just that's when I started to realize like there's different ways to do this war, and there seems to be a far more effective way of doing it, and these SF guys are doing it. So if I want to stick around and I want to keep going to war, then I need to go and try to be with the best of the guys because it seems safer what they're doing, being proactive, not unnecessarily exposing themselves just doing presence patrols. They go out for a specific mission, they're offensive, and that kept them, it appeared to keep them more safe by being more offensive. So that really got the ball rolling for me.
Some really like bummer like perspective on that just kind of popped into my head. Like not everybody can go SF, right? Um, it's just they just can't. Like you can try, but some guys just can't make it,
Yeah.
and that's fine. Um, so, but what do you think? Like, man, you're in a regular infantry unit. You're like, we're on this bullshit patrol. You lose one of your buddies, bad enough, but then you see right there an SF unit just fucking smoking people proactively, saving their buddies' life, keeping themselves alive, and then you can't go do that. How fucking and we talk about like the suicide epidemic in the military of like, man, we sent these dudes over there to do these horrible things and then wouldn't let them defend themselves until they had to, and then like we lose their friends, and then you can't even do anything about it. Like you can't even go to do the thing where you see the guys doing that job. Like you were able to go do it because you possessed the skills and the scores and stuff like that and the motivation. Some guys just can't.
Yeah.
Man, I just think about that. Like you're in that shitty situation, and then you got to live with that, and that's like to highlight that for people listening. Like that's a real situation of
Yeah.
people that come back and they either drink themselves to death or they off themselves because they just can't live with the fact that there's nothing they can do because we put them in this situation, this terrible situation, and then wouldn't let them defend themselves. So that's a real thing that really happens to people. And
Yeah.
it's a fucking real bummer.
Yeah. And I think that's what really helped me be able to compartmentalize all of the terrible shit that I saw on that deployment. Was I used that anger, that drive to push me to SF. And I would say predominantly everybody in my platoon that on that deployment, a majority of guys got out. There were a string of suicides. Everybody was just blanket coated with SSRIs when we got back from deployment. Like everybody was struggling. But one, me PCSing to get out of that unit, go to a different environment, different unit, helped keep me like engaged and leaning forward. And two, just channeling all that anger, all that sadness, all of that struggle from that deployment, channeling it and using it to drive me toward SF as like a massive chip on my shoulder, I think really helped push me forward and helped me use all of that negative shit in a positive way. And for guys that weren't able to do that, I saw the repercussions of exactly what you're talking about, feeling like they wish they would have done more. They wish they would have, tried out for SF or something. I think that regret sits with them a lot. And I think I'm very grateful that at that time it really helped to push me forward, and it ended up pushing me into SF for sure.
That's good. Um, yeah, even God, positive thing can be motivation, negative things can be motivation. Like a common thing in SF is guys will feed off of other people doing shitty. Like if somebody else is sucking, that just makes you want it more. Like you want to fucking put them down. Like if people are falling away or they can't keep up, like somehow you draw energy from that shit. I was a big complainer, which is not great, but it worked for me. And the more I just like fuck this, I just feed off of that shit. You can draw motivation from anything, fucking like anything.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to be positive. Like I really lean towards the positive side of things, positive message and things. But I haven't always been that way, personally. But
Yeah.
that's great, man. To to use that to go on to the next step. So you're getting trained by, and that's another cool thing, right? I talked to somebody yesterday, and he's like, the first rule of SF is to always look cool. But he broke it down, and I'd never heard it like this. Like, there's so much more in always look cool than just the stupid phrase to just look cool. Like, squared away falls in there. Being good at your job, looking you still have the cool guy haircut, but you do have haircut. You got your shave. Your uniform looks good. As good as ACUs or whatever the fuck it was at the time can look, which wasn't very good. But you got your sunglasses. You physically look the part. You stand up straight. You speak correctly. You try not to use the word like too much, which we all do. Or use, if you can't, you slow down and speak in sentences. You talk to the person when you look at them when you're talking to them. And there's so much more in that. And I was like, that's pretty interesting way of thinking. Like those SF recruiters, those first guys you ran into, yeah, those were guys. That was squared away.
Yeah.
I
I
want to
think
be like that.
I think that's the fallacy of um, the always look cool rule in SF, and something that everybody's tried to emulate without the understanding that rule number one, always look cool, is a byproduct of you doing everything else right, you being squared away physically, mentally, you being a consummate professional in your job, knowing what you're talking about, carrying yourself confidently because you are confident in your abilities and skills because you put in the years of hard work and training. And nowadays it's just very easy to just look cool. You can buy all the gear, you can get a good camera, you can do all the shit, but it's like you're missing the whole point. You're just trying to attain this rule number one, look cool, without understanding that looking cool is a byproduct of being great at your job and being a professional. And I think that's a slippery thing there that gets lost. You know, people just want to look cool. And it's usually the guys that aren't SF. You know, it's usually the people that want to be SF. They want to put out the image. You don't, you're missing the whole point. The whole point is the years of hard work, dedication, and misery to get to a point where you can be a consummate professional, thus looking cool because you got all your I's dotted and all your T's crossed, you know?
Yeah. I I my career was pushed towards the gym and health and fitness, especially since I stopped drinking. And there is no like I'm 5'11", 240 pounds. There is no way to get to that point without, I mean, thousands and thousands of workouts and
Yeah.
food and calories and all this other shit. And you can say you take some good supplements. You still got to work your
You
ass off.
still got
Like
to
you
put
still
in the
have to
effort.
you still have to eat the food. You have to fucking sleep and take care of yourself and go to the fucking gym when you don't want to go and don't hurt yourself and all this other stuff. There's no substitute. There's no substitute for being big. Just like there's no substitute for when you walk in and you're like, man, that dude's squared away. That dude looks cool. He's got his beret on and his shades. I think like I want to be like that guy. And it doesn't mean you have to be a Green Beret. You can be a fucking Ranger. You can go fucking civil affairs, psyops. You can be the fucking best at whatever the fuck your MOS is. You can still look the part at any level in the army. You can stand out.
Yeah.
Um, there's benefits and negatives to that at some levels because it's more, how would you say, it's more toxic in the regular army because people are in a position to be envious of you and shit on you if you stand out more so in the regular army.
Yeah. The tall poppy syndrome is definitely a thing in the regular army. I know when I was in Hawaii and, you know, the unit sent me to Arslick and Sniper. And then right after that, a couple months, I dropped my SF packet out of the blue. And we had a new battalion command team come in. At the time, I was running the battalion sniper section for that infantry battalion. And once I dropped that packet, man, that sergeant major just shitless me. He pulled me in his office, berated me for an hour and a half, telling me that I was disloyal to the unit because they just spent money to send me to RSLIC and sniper school, and then I was leaving to go to SF. And I was like, isn't that the whole point, like, of career progression? You send your guys that are studs to schools, they come back, disseminate the information, and then they continue on with their career. But if you were showing any upward mobility, getting out of the unit, going to SF the next thing, it was like they would just shit on you. And that's exactly what happened. He pulled me out of my sniper section leader spot, kicked me down with one of the line companies to go be like a weapons squad leader. So I show up to the line company, meet with the company commander and the first sergeant, and they're like, dude, you leave for selection in 3 weeks. Like, we have very good feeling that you're going to make it. Like, we don't have a job for you here, man. Just so they were like, just hang out. Like, we're not sure why they took you out from scouts, but like, yeah, just kind of hang out, continue your train up, check in by phone once a day, and good luck at selection, you know? So there's varying levels of it. I think definitely the older guys up at the battalion sergeant major level, and it was, I don't know this guy's history, um, but I'm sure he probably went to selection when he was a young stud, didn't get selected, and or had a bad run in with the SF guys somewhere, and was just, you know, had a negative mentality about it. But I remember even at that time, he was like, "You just want to go be one of those undisciplined cowboys," you know what I mean? I was like, "Well, hell yeah, dude! Like, they're after getting after it, you know." So
Yeah, I I have no idea what some of my leadership thought about it. Very supportive, I
That's good.
think, to a point. I know the post sergeant major was not, or no, maybe he was the regimental sergeant major. Um, he was not, because I was in a Soldier of the Year board, and I said the words long tab, and he berated me. That he's like, the president's 100th tab is longer. It's like, oh, this is going to be a great board. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. And he was not, and I'd already been selected at this point.
Okay.
I was like, obviously, I want to, why do you want to do this? I want to go to a professional organization. Well, we'll see about that. I was like, okay, well, this is going to go well. Luckily, I ended up losing that board, the only board I've ever lost in my life. And the dude that won, he got his PCS orders canceled, and he had to keep competing. I was like, "Ooh, I'm glad I lost."
Yeah.
Um, but um, I, and this, if, for anybody listening out there, like, when get to manipulation, right? And I didn't know I was doing this at the time, but if you want to do something at your regular Army unit and be great, like, I go back to volunteering for shit other people don't want to do. I volunteered for those Soldiers of the Month board, and and then I would just win. And you say, "Oh, you okay? You just go in." I just studied, and then I won. And then it's this weird thing. Like, the more I won, the more I could do whatever the fuck I wanted to do when I would ask. Like, I wanted to pass, I could get it. If I wanted to go, and then I started to go into CrossFit at lunch, like, to work out. And they're like, "Oh yeah, getting ready for the course." And but I just kept this doing good things for the unit that made them look good, made my leadership look good, made the battalion commander look good because he's got a soldiers post, one of his soldiers, and then the brigade sergeant major is coming over and congratulate because he's got a soldier that's winning the post boards and shit like this. And so, you know, I'm just fucking goofing off, but I'm putting in the time and studying and then going winning these things. But I could do whatever I wanted. And so if you're in a situation where you're like, I don't like it here, there's a way out. You're going to have to, like, figure out what do the people in charge of me want, what'll make them get off my back, what'll do this and things like that. But it's out there. There's solutions out there of
Yeah.
like, hey, I can go do this.
It's
And
very easy to get ahead in the military, you know what I mean? Just like you were saying, by putting in 10% more effort, volunteering for things, showing up and doing a great job in things, taking lead, like it is very easy to have upward mobility in the regular army, and I think more people just need to understand how easy that is. Just a little effort, apply yourself, you know what I mean? And it can lead to great things like you were saying, like doing those things allowed you the freedom, like go to CrossFit at lunch and being able to like, hey, I want to go do this. Like there's great benefits to it.
yeah, but nothing, nothing was more crucial in me becoming a Green Beret than failing selection the first time. Like I could I got medically dropped, and that would have been fine, if they're like, okay, and then they sent me back to my unit. No, they lumped me in with all the fucking quitters, and I was like, I feel like a loser.
Yeah.
Like, and from then on, it was complete domination.
Yeah.
Like, he went back to my unit, same way. There was, I was good before, I was better afterwards. And as soon as I healed up, and that setback, using that, you talk about, the rough trip and things, using that failure, which nobody saw as a failure. Like, I came back, I just couldn't use my leg. Like, it was fucked. I don't even know what I did at this point. I just knew after a while it started to bend again. I think something behind my knee just swelled up and I couldn't bend my knee. But uh, just using that as a driving factor, and then to go in and go, well, I'm never going to let that happen again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think those are some of the most pivotal moments in my military career that ended up being launching points that pushed me to the next level. Like I can look at the first time I went to sniper school, I failed stalking. Like it was a mobile training team sniper school sent out to Hawaii. I had no experience stalking. I like in the 101st, I was just a regular infantry guy. I started out as a saw gunner and then team leader. I go to Hawaii. They immediately put me in the recon platoon, and then after being there for a couple months, winning a best team competition, they're like, "Hey, a sniper MTT is coming. Like, you're gonna go to sniper school." I'm like, "Cool. Like, I'll figure it out when I get there." You know what I mean? No, you can't just pass stalking just pulling it out of your ass. You know, it's like something you have to like learn and understand and practice. So I failed, and sniper school was the biggest thing I wanted in the 4 years in the infantry prior to this point. Like my whole time in the 101st, it was impossible for guys to get sniper school slots, much less if they even got a slot to go. Like the pass rate's not very high. So I finally get this chance to go to sniper school when I'm in Hawaii, and I fail. And that just bugged the shit out of me. And after that point, I bought every book I could about sniper shit. I was constantly out in the woods practicing stalking with the other guys. Like I was like, if I ever get a shot again, I'm never gonna fail. I think that mindset of like when I first started to understand, oh, I'm gonna have to put in work outside of work on my own time to read up about books, to study and practice if I want to be good and successful at these things. And luckily, 6 months later, I had an ATAR slot to go to Benning for reconnaissance and surveillance leaders course, and I looked, and sniper school was just down the street from RSLIC, and there was a class starting 3 days after RSLIC was supposed to graduate. So I told my first sergeant at that time, I said, "Hey, I'm taking my drag bag, my ghillie suit, everything with me to Georgia. I'm going to try to walk on to sniper school if I pass RSLIC." And he was like, "Dude, if you pass RSLIC, you can walk on if they'll have you." And so that's what happened. I went to RSLIC, passed, walked on to sniper school. Now, my second time at sniper school, I end up leaving as top sniper team. You know what I mean? My first time there, I failed miserably because I didn't take it seriously. I didn't put in the effort to practice and learn ahead of time. And I look at what I did differently the second time and how much different the result is. I was like, this is a huge, valuable life lesson. And I needed that failure to really like motivate me and be like, dude, you got to put in the effort and time on your own. Like nobody's going to hold your hand. If you wait on the unit or the army to get you ready, it's not going to happen. Like you have to go get this yourself. So, and I think that is a common characteristic you'll find in SF is most dudes have had failures at some point in their life, but they've reacted from it in a positive way that pushed them forward. Whereas a majority of the people hit a big failure like that and then just say, "Oh, that's it. I tried. You know, it's just not in the cards." So I think that's a big attribute that makes SF guys SF.
That's a pretty baller move to go. Hey, first sergeant, there's a sniper course 3 days after RSLIC, which RSLIC's not easy,
Dude,
right?
the RSLIC land nav course, in my opinion, was harder than the STAR course, harder than the NTA. Like, again, I think hitting those two schools was the final fine tuning I needed before I was ready to go to selection. And I was riding a high wave. You know what I mean? Like at that unit in Hawaii, nobody's passed RSLIC. Nobody's passed RSLIC and sniper. So I did those two things, and then I tried to walk on the airborne after sniper. I was like, I'm already in Georgia. I'm gonna stay for a third school, and my unit was like, dude, if you can walk on airborne, like take it. And I couldn't walk on that class because it was a summer class and it was full of cadets. So I didn't get airborne at that time. But when I got back to the unit, man, I was riding high. You know, ego, my head's massive. Like I'm RSLIC sniper qualified now, blah, blah, blah. But that was the right time. And I was like, all right, I'm going to spend the next, I think it was 6 months doing nothing but PT and training up for selection. And then I'm going to go. And I had to wait because my wife at the time was pregnant. And, you know, so I was itching to leave. And she was like, just give me some time after the birth and then you can go. So I gave her like 2 months, you know what I mean?
An hour, and yeah,
I'm out. You know, you got this down here. I'm good. So, but yeah, those built a lot of confidence in me and really taught me a lot of life lessons. I think that helped make me successful going to selection.
what were your thoughts getting to selection? Because you said you got there 12, right? Beginning of 12.
No. So selection was it was either like February or March of 2013.
Oh, 13. So you were later. So yeah, you could. So you went and you PCSed right away. I took a long time after I got selected.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts getting there? Because yeah, I had no idea what I was fucking doing. You seemed like you were pretty prepared. Like I was just going. I was like, I think this is where I want to go. It turned out that's where I wanted to go. I was like, this is. I think this is where I want to go. Some guys I've interviewed, they're like, man, I didn't know what the fuck I was getting myself into, like, at all. So what are you thinking on that bus ride out to McCall?
I think, definitely feeling like everybody else, like, what am I doing here? I don't know if I'm prepared for this. I have no idea what's going on. But I did feel very confident because I had a really great SF recruiter who made sure that there was no doubt we were physically capable. Um, the confidence of coming off of RSLIC and sniper school showed me that if I study and prepare, like I can do anything, you know what I mean? Just put in the work. So I took that seriously. And at the time, there's no active duty Green Berets on social media that I could DM and say, like, hey, what kind of boots should I wear? Or like, what's going on? I had to go out and buy books. I had to study. I had to, bug the recruiter all the time. But I felt very confident going there. I was like, I'm in the best shape of my life, physically, mentally. I'm riding a high. Like this is a great time. So I felt confident going there. And I remember, of course, during selection, there's miserable times. Team week is miserable. Down pilot, all of this shit. It's just it doesn't matter what kind of a shape you're in, you're gonna get broken down, and it's miserable. But I remember at the end of selection, I remember looking back and thinking it wasn't quite as hard as I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? It was more manageable than I thought. And so my attitude from that point going forward, when I was, like on a team, was just like dudes were asking, like, "Oh, am I ready to go?" I'm like, "Dude, just go. You're going to know way more about yourself and what is there by just being there. If you don't get selected the first time, great. Now you can go home. You know exactly what you need to train up for. You know what I mean? But just go, just experience it." So I felt very confident going there. And again, I went there with a group of buddies, which makes a huge difference if you have the right group of buddies. All of those dudes were extremely motivated and were wanting to pass no matter what. They were willing to die for it. So thankfully, that kind of positive community while we're there in selection helped keep pushing me forward. Where I would see other guys who had other groups of friends, and if their friends started quitting, it was only a matter of day or two before that dude quit. So I think getting connected with the right group of dudes at selection will keep you motivated while you're there when everything's shitty. Because if I look over and I see my buddy's still here, he hasn't quit yet, then I'm not going to fucking quit. Because there's no way I'm going to let that dude talk shit and be like, yeah, well, I made it and you quit. So I think that was the secret for me being there, was like going with a group of studs. And if you can't go with a group of studs, find those guys and try to be around them, because that motivation will leak off onto you. And when things are shitty and you can look over at somebody and be like, dude, it's not that bad. Like it'll all be done soon. You know what I mean? I think that really helps push you through some of the shittiest times in selection.
First time I went, I think there was four of us from Fort Sill, and nobody passed.
Uh-huh.
And the second time I went, I don't even know if anybody else went. I don't care. I didn't associate with anybody. I was on a mission.
Yeah.
I don't think I had any. There were some guys that had come back from January to September that I noticed, and then a couple of them passed together. But when I got to the course, like there was 20 of us, I think, ish, in like this group, and we were all friends. And man, we just ran through the whole thing all together. Like nobody fell out. Nobody went to the weights. It was just like we were all there, all the way to language, and we all graduated together. But man, the rest of the class, brutal carnage. Just um, so you did the NTA.
Yeah.
Um, what a bloodbath.
Yeah. It
And I've
was.
said this on the show a few times. There was over 200 people out there, like 250 ish people out there. 50 past the first night and like 20 something the second night. And that's the hardest day of my life, going 5 for 5 that first night. It was, so I heat catted like right in the middle. And I was southwest of the talk, like a cleared field, just
Sure.
sitting on a log. Like, I'm really hot. Like, I don't feel well. And then I just sat there putting my drink pouches in my canteen and
Yeah.
like sipping them every once in a while, just taking a sip I lost a lot of time on that. And it just eventually brought myself back to life. And then I was like, well, I'm way behind now, and just went and got it. And so we're getting on the bus the next day, and this fucking black wall of clouds rolls in. And these dudes are all laid out in the field. It's bright and sunny, and then just black, and it starts piss raining on these guys as we leave. And like, I went and sat on the couch and like looked out the window. That, like, I was dead. Like, I had no energy left. I went all in to make that time hack, and I just sitting looking at the couch going, that was a good time to give everything, because
Yeah.
I was not going to pass that. I was not going to pass that second night because I was dead. I was dead to the world sitting on that couch. I was like, fuck that.
That sounds so familiar to like the same story as the NTA experience I had like right at the beginning of the course because they would do that. That was like first thing. There were like gates you had to pass. One was like the land nav out at NTA. I think there was a ruck in there as well, but it was the same thing. Like I got all my points that first day. Again, like I thought the RSLA land nav course was harder than the STAR course, and then again at NTA. So I got all my points first day on the bus headed home. One of my buddies from Hawaii at that time, we went through selection together, started the queue together. He didn't get his points that first day and had to stay. And I remember pulling away in the buses, looking back at him, and they were just wiped out. Same thing, like there was a ton of heat cats. It was just miserable. And I remember pulling away and just thinking, I was like, I don't think he's going to make it. There's no way that dudes are going to be able to make it the second night if they didn't get the first night. Like, you're not getting enough hydration or food. You know what I mean? I was like, man, that might be it for him. He ended up getting it that second night, but I remember just being so thankful. Like, first night, got all my points done, headed back on the bus the next day, and I was just like, man, thank God. You know what I mean? Like, it was miserable out there.
And this is for some dudes like weeks after selection. Like, they just gotten selected,
Yeah.
and they just PCS. They just walked from the 82nd over, and then, oh, guess what? You're fucking. Hey, we gotta you gotta pass selection.
Yeah. It was a whole set of gates to like even start the Q course. And it was like, we just did this. Like, that's what selection was. Like, I remember everybody was bitching about it. It was like, why are we doing this again right at the beginning? Like, we literally just did this a month ago, 2 months ago, you
Yeah,
know? But who knows?
whatever. I
Uh,
I mean, I got it, so I'm not too. I'm like, okay, well, it can be done. It can be done. That was difficult. Like, that was bad.
yeah.
And then the 12 miler too, because we had to start at like
Three in the
three,
morning.
two or
Yeah.
three in the morning,
Yeah.
and there's just bodies
Yeah.
like fucking, because nobody was ready for it.
Yeah.
Nobody
Well,
at
because
all, because they're coming off a PCS. Most of these dudes that he catted were coming off a PCS, and then, oh, you got a 12 miler.
yeah, and it was like 3 in the morning, but it's still 92 degrees with 98% humidity. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, dudes were going down left and right on the 12 miler, and it was just a mass cow scenario. You know what I mean? It was. I don't know why they
God,
did
I
it. I don't
never.
know why they would do that at the beginning of the Q course, but it trimmed numbers for sure.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it like we're talking about it now, because I got there, I did CLT, and I got acclimated to North Carolina, and then we started IUW. So I had, and CLT was just, we just did PT and we did classes. We were in the barracks, and we didn't get the shit smoked out of us like other CLT classes. So we just kind of stayed fit and stuff and got acclimated to weather, and then we did IUW. But some of these guys, they're showing up E5s and E6s. They've already done CLT, or whatever they hit, ANOC or BNOC, whatever it's called. And hey, yeah, welcome to North Carolina. I know you just came from Alaska. You got to do a 12 miler. and it's 1,000% humidity out now. So that
Milk.
makes a lot more sense that these guys were getting fucked because you're not used to it. They weren't ready for it. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that up until now. Like, wow, that's fucking shitty. Even shittier now. Think of
And especially the dudes that got hurt in selection, but were able to push through it. Maybe they had like a bum LCL or an ankle or something, but they were able to still push through it and get selected. Okay, great. Turn around. Here's your start date for the Q course a month, 6 weeks later. And then you have to do all those IUW gates. And it was like, well, they're still healing up. Of course, they're not going to raise their hand and be like, well, actually, I need to go to med hold because if you go to med hold, like you're getting kicked out. So it was just, I hope that's one of the things that they would have changed. I think.
it's not a thing anymore. It's yeah, it's not. It only lasted a few years, a couple of years or something like that. I can't imagine those attrition rates
Oh, it was
in
bad.
IUW were uh, digestible by the commander out there going, what is, they attribute because it was probably okay at the time because the classes were huge. We were having, oh God, 6 or 8 sages a year or something like that, which is so many Robin stages. Like that's from talking to the people that work the backside support. They're like, we would finish and then we would start. You'd have no life. You're living in Pineland. Like that's when you're really never leaving Pineland.
Yeah.
Those people, they would have Sage all year long. So the classes were huge, even at the end. So I guess it was probably okay in the beginning to have those bad attrition rates to get it down to where they could have those 6 or 8 or 10 Robin Sage classes a
Yeah.
year. It was probably okay then, but as time went on and they're like, you know, just chopping dudes and spending millions, billions of dollars to run these people through selection, get selected, and then drop them right away or recycle them and all this other stuff. It probably got old after a while.
Yeah. Probably
Um,
time to take a look at
so
things and be like, how can we make this more efficient?
yeah, yeah, that was a fucking weird time. And then after IUW, it was kind of hands off. Like no one fucked with us again until halfway through language.
Mm.
I don't know how it was for you guys.
Um, yeah, I mean, it was kind of the same thing. I liked that the Q course was like a gentleman course. A majority of it was a gentleman's course, like you get treated like an adult, you get treated like an equal, and if you fuck up, like you're gonna get hammered, but like they're gonna give you plenty of rope to either hang yourself or make use of it. So I like that, but that was another weird thing about going through the Q course as a like senior E6. Like I remember in SUT, like the lane walkers, they would dip out early and just be like, "Hey man, just this is what everybody needs to get done tonight. Like make sure it gets happened. Like do your infantry squad leadership. Like you got it. Like good, we're dipping out." And it was like, wait a second, like why am I here?
Really?
Yeah, like why am I here like teaching these guys multiple iterations on like ambush or squad movement, whatever? It was like you should be teaching us, but they would be like, oh, like you had time in the infantry, you were a senior squad leader, like yeah, you got it, man. And same thing with airborne school. I had to go to airborne right before starting the Q course. So after selection, I hit airborne en route to the Q course. And the airborne cadre there, who are also E6s, they find out, oh, you already passed selection, you're on the Q course. They just want to be your buddy. You know what I mean? So come in the night, they're like, there was times in airborne school where like I'm doing corrective training on my fellow students because the instructors want to dip out or something. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was a weird position being a senior E6 going through the course. There was definitely benefits to it, but there were some drawbacks as well. So that was a unique thing going through. But
Yeah, the Black Hats were bad with that. Because I remember our class, the staff sergeants and sergeants, they would like, make them do stuff and things like that. It's like then they're telling us that because we were all in a group, everybody had been selected,
yeah,
but I'm just a specialist, so even though I tried to get first sergeant, I was like, give me corporal, so at least I don't have to get fucked with.
yeah,
He's like, nah. I was like, why? I've already got the paperwork done.
makes no
Like,
sense.
just but no, so they're like, this is stupid. Like, why do we have to? We're in a school. Leave us alone. like like just for, but uh, it was interesting, going through airborne. I was like, man, looking at the black hats, like these are professionals, and then you had no idea. Like now looking back, I was like, man, compared to these SF cadre, nothing. Like it's interesting because every level you're like, these cadre are professional, but I thought the cadre and the Q course, like the ones you look at them, you're like, man, the ones who are running shit, man, I want to be like that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I,
There were a lot of great mentors and instructors in the Q course. I think that really helped the professionalism of it. Like you said, there was levels because same thing when I remember going to different schools and you're like, these guys are so squared away, they know everything, and then you get up a little older and you realize like, maybe not. But the cadre at SF, like the guys that were there that really cared, like they were just the best.
yeah, and the ones at selection just running around and just telling us. And yeah, I put up a reel the other night. Remember Sergeant Major Reese? Was he there for you
Yes,
at selection?
yes.
God, just the stories that he would tell, how you know, he, I'm private ward. I'm a fucking idiot. And just listening to this guy tell these stories about, inside the Green Berets or being at group and things like that. You're like, man, you don't get that anywhere else. You don't get listening to SF Sergeant Major talk to a bunch of guys that just got the shit smoked out of him or whatever. And he's got to dip in and he's telling funny stories and everybody's laughing. Like, man, I to just close your eyes and be back right there again with those half dome tents and this it's hot and sticky out and him and Major Decker look like professional, fucking look cool, Green Berets out there just talking to us like we're normal people and we're all just hunched over with our, I don't know if we had camelbacks or canteens or whatever, and we're fucking dirty and you're just sitting there like listening to grandpa, tell war stories and be funny, and everybody's laughing, and it's such a cool moment in time if you just sit back and think about it. Like, man, we got to sit there and listen to some of these guys that are like legends now talk to us about what it's going to be like in group and what we're going to have to put up with and these things and how much we're capable of. And it's such a cool experience. And we get back to, just get a taste of what it's like to be successful at whatever level or whatever endeavor you want to get into. That's it, right? Back there, listening to those guys talk, like the taste. Man, I want to be like that guy.
Yeah,
I wanna, I want to be at that level someday. I hope. And such a cool time, such a cool experience.
yeah. Some of the best times, were in some of the worst conditions, just getting the shit smoked out of you or just going through some of the most physically demanding things. And just, you look back on it like that was some of the best times, man. Just getting after it, motivation's high. And I like how uh, the history is real rich as you're going throughout the course. Like you said, you'd have these people come in, give you these talks, these conversations. Everywhere you go, you see the stories and of all these prestigious Green Berets that come before you, and you like it really helps set the tone and the gravity of like the unit that you're walking into. It's like, man, you got some big shoes to fill, and this is the real deal out here. There's some people that have gone before you that have gone through so much. So just understand what you're stepping into and understand the legacy that you have to carry on. Like now it's your turn.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate it at the time.
No,
Like I
of
had
course not. Yeah,
no idea. It's fun to look back now, and because you know, you can heal from TBIs and getting fucked up and stuff, right? First one is to not get fucking hit in the head anymore,
yeah,
and then time is another big one. Stopping drinking and all these things. The cloud is kind of gone. But man, doing the show and sitting down and talking to people, and I start to remember all these cool things that I did. And the one thing I tell people is like, be proud of the cool shit you did in your life. Like you with your social media stuff. Yeah, you're going to get hammered online. That's what online is for. Like they'll shit on you, but to a point. Like I don't know if it's like a checks and balances thing. There's other people where they're getting shit on all the time, and to the point where they're like persona non grata, right? They like you've stepped over the line.
Mhm.
But the internet's gonna shit on you in the comment section, but be proud of the stuff you did. But know that hey, there's that line out there that
Yeah.
if I step over it, if I misrepresent things that I did, that's why I don't vet my guests ever. I'll I'll do a little research on them. I won't look into their background. And people have messaged me about, oh, I don't know about that. I know this guy's a piece of shit. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. He seems nice to me. But like, I don't vet my guests because if somebody puts like your picture, right? Having a Green Beret, if you have put that up there and claim things and they're false, the internet will not stand for that.
Eventually they will find out. Yep.
They will find out. And I'm not going to figure that out sitting in my basement, like digging into files. I can make a call and be like, find your sergeant major, and be like, I'm not going to do that. So I'd let the internet do it for me. But to look back on the things that we did and be proud of our accomplishments, not boastful and don't rub it in people's faces, but be proud of it and inspire other people to get there because that's how you know, comparison is the thief of joy, right? Well, that's fucking bullshit. Being envious is the thief of joy.
Yes.
If I didn't compare myself to other Green Berets, I wouldn't have become one. I was like, I want to be like that dude. I want to fucking do that. I'd be proud of the things and inspire other people to do the same things that you did in a respectful way. And you got to do that with the so you got to put this stuff up there. And now that's how we communicate.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay, to a point
Yeah.
to do that. And that's where that line is, right? Of doing it the correct way. And the correct way is not the same way for everybody. You
Yep.
just have to hit the majority of people. Once you get into that majority, you can be the president of the United States if you get to the majority, right?
Yeah. I've always
So
said like it doesn't matter what you do. If you could be standing out at a busy intersection in the middle of summer handing out free water, right? There's going to be somebody that's going to talk shit, right? He's going to be like, who's this asshole think he is, like holding up traffic, handing out free water? You know what I mean?
you
So,
poison. Is this water poison? Is this water poison?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, so it doesn't matter. So there is that. Like, anytime you try to put yourself out there, whether it's on social media or whatever, there's always going to be people just, you know, that is the nature. There's a lot of people that are miserable with their lives. There's a lot of people that want to project this misery on other people. But there also is truth to it, right? Like if you are putting yourself out there in a way that starts to become, self-centered, egotistical, braggadocious, then all that shit talking gets louder. And if you are listening in, like that can help pull you back. So there's a give and take. But man, for the most part, it doesn't matter what you do. Somebody somewhere is going to have an issue with it. They're going to find fault with it. And it's just whatever. You know what I mean? As long as you can look yourself in the mirror and be like, dude, I'm trying my best and, I'm doing things the best way I know how. And everybody's going to make mistakes. I can certainly look back and be like, man, I wish I would have did this differently, or I wish I wouldn't have put this picture up, or, some shit. But man, we're all just learning and living and just trying to do our best. And, for the most part, a lot of that shit is just noise. People are always like, oh, you should have done this or this or whatever. Like, well, you can do it. Like, please show me a better way to do it. Like, I would love to see you succeed in this where I may not have. But the internet can definitely be a toxic place, but there's also a lot of good to it.
Yeah. Not that's the way forward.
Yeah.
That's I've built everything off of this. And as I said, as of yesterday, the show is making money. I don't know if it's not in the black yet. We're
Oh,
still in the red.
that's all right.
But we're making money. So, and that's from nothing. And that's using the community. And I am using the community. My background as a Green Beret. I feel I have to uphold a standard and live up to something that's important to me, and I'm going to try and do that the best way I know how. Not anybody else's like definition of what I have to do. I'm going to just because that's like the easiest, right? They tell us in stage you got to have a reason for being somewhere, like your cover story. Well, my reason for being here is easiest, is the truth. It's like I'm just going to be me, and if the market doesn't want that, then I'm just not going to do that, because it's going to be so difficult and so painful to try and be something else, to try and be fake happy online. Like I am having a fucking blast. Like I'm recording an episode with you. We never would have met, although we knew each other and probably have spoken to one another
Yeah.
at different times in group or in the Q course or whatever. But we never would have had this. And then I'm going to go to the gym and fucking kill it at the gym. And I'm going to come back down here and sit at my desk for 8 hours and make content and edit stuff so I can go be a SFRE civilian cadre instructor on
Right.
Thursday at Fort McCoy. Like how fucking cool. And it's all because I'm just trying to be nice and positive and not a fucking drunk alcoholic and shit like that. So
Yeah.
there's a good way and a bad way to do stuff, but hopefully we can push it towards the good way and be happy doing it
And I
as
think
we go.
that's the huge thing about you doing this podcast is, and it's just focusing on the everyday Green Beret. You know what I mean? And everyday Green Berets, they have all their, there's a lot of different stories, but there's a lot of similarities to all their stories. And just from a personal perspective, like listening to episodes with you, having other guys on, and just hearing other guys talk about their experiences, hearing other guys talk about their transition out of the military and what they're doing now, like it just makes all of this feel so much more normal. And I think that is what a lot of us really need, because a lot of us aren't going out of our way to talk to people and being like, yeah, man, like this is what I'm struggling with now, or this is, my thoughts now. But hearing people on the podcast talk about their story just makes all of this so much more normal. And just like, at least for me, it just gives me a big sigh of relief and just being like, man, there's dudes out there that have had it way worse. There's dudes out there that have had it way easier. We're all just on our own unique path, and everybody has gone through these same struggles. Everybody's had these same thoughts and perceptions, and it's just part of the journey. You know what I mean? And I think doing this really helps more guys than you realize.
It's yeah, I don't, because I'm naive. I've come up with that down to the word that I'm naive. I post stuff and I don't think it'll upset people. I post stuff and I don't think it'll inspire people. I'm like what I'm putting out, and I don't know what the reaction is going to be. And then people reach out to me and I'm like, I don't know how to take that. Like that makes me very happy and like emotional when some guys say stuff to me, and that's only going to continue. So, I'm going to keep it going and like then there's I told the wife I'm going to burn it down to make this successful. Like this is the like only thing I've wanted to do since selection. I fucking hated getting out, and I'm having a fun meeting people and talking to people and doing these things. Like I'm going to spend every dollar down to the last dollar I have to try and make this to where it can support us. And we'll see if it gets there.
That's awesome.
But getting into the community and like reestablishing a network and having fun, and like I said with this, and here's a direction you didn't think I was going to go. I was thinking more about it last night. I posted a picture uh, July 16th 20th of 2023, uh, all first group guys. uh, Did you know Fred Somerville by chance?
No.
Supply guy, Charlie Company. Um, he killed himself July 6th of 23, right? And I I went to the funeral, San Antonio, Texas, like 105 degrees, full uniform, sweated through my uniform, but we just went out to the uh, cemetery there in San Antonio, and I posted a picture of all of us, and my buddy wears uniform too, and then um, another friend of mine, Justin Schaefer, the battalion PA, he was there as well. Just happened to be there. And two guys flew out from Oki, team guys, and posted a picture. I said, until I no longer walk this earth, I'll be just a phone call away. Um, and so part of this is you can get a hold of me. If you're having a bad time, you can get a hold of me, and I will help you. Um, because I I don't have all the right answers, but I do have all the right answers in my phone with people at the Green Beret Foundation, with other foundations, with just what I'm capable of getting you to or hooking you up with now from starting this, um, because uh, he did call me. I just couldn't understand what he was saying. Um, and I said, I'll call you right back. And I never spoke to him again.
Damn.
And it was only 30 seconds later. So um, hopefully, hopefully, I'll be in a better position if somebody needs me or wants to call me or needs to talk to some of my guests
Yeah.
or it's like I'd like to get hooked back up with that person, which has happened. I've connected people and, you know, to be that, to still be a Green Beret, to be a better veteran than I was in uniform. Um, and hopefully that's a result of all of this, using this as a background and helping people to um, get through a tough time.
Yeah.
Because, you said you had a tough time getting out. And it's even if you plan to get out or you don't, however it is, it sucks. Like it sucks. You get depressed. It's a fucking bummer to all the way to you kill yourself. It's somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, the show is that for somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody, it helps them. And it's the two sides of the same coin, though. It's selfish. It helps me. But
That's the
that
best. That's
helps
the
other
best of
people.
both worlds. You know what I mean? Where you're in a position helping others that also makes you feel good. Like that's a great spot to be. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. Um,
there's
so,
a
but sorry, I just went off. I popped into my head, and
yeah.
um, I don't make solo stuff. Like I can't sit here and talk. My ads are terrible. When I talk to this thing, I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah.
But if some stuff, that's the beauty of the show. If stuff just pops in my head, and with the people that I'm talking to, like you, I can just talk about it,
Yeah.
and that's okay. So, uh,
That's been the biggest thing I've noticed that I really miss about being in the military is being able to have conversations like that with people that I know have the same experiences, and just talking about it solves 80% of whatever problem that I have going on, right? Whatever things I'm feeling or whatever struggles I'm going through, like the act of just speaking out loud and telling somebody else drops a huge burden off the chest. And then when you do that, you kind of realize like, oh, this is a normal thing. Like there are other people that have gone through this, that have struggled through this. And, a lot of us, especially SF guys, like we know how to solve our own problems. And sometimes just saying the problem out loud, just like, okay, I know what I need to do. Or like, what advice would I give somebody that I cared about? If they came to me with this problem, what would I tell them? Because we're all great at giving advice. If we had somebody that's struggling and they come to us and they unload that, like we know we would do everything we can to give them the right advice and help them through this. We just got to get better at doing it for ourselves. But for some reason, that act of just speaking it out loud and acknowledging it to somebody else allows us to be like, okay, now it's a real thing. Well, I think I already know what to do. I need to just get after it. You know what I mean? And then that whole thing it starts the motion on its own. But I miss being around like minded dudes who have the same experience that I know I can just be like, this is what I'm struggling with right now. And there's no judgment, there's no anything. It's just like, man, I hear you, I feel for you. What about this? Have you tried this option? Have you tried this option? Let's get to work. You know what I mean? So I think that's a huge benefit of stuff like this in the podcast is just being able to talk about those things, understanding how normal they are, and just finding a space where you can recount all these old stories. It's been a couple of years since I've sat down with another team guy and gone through like Q core stories, and like just from the things that you've mentioned, like I completely forgot about certain things, and it's great to reminisce. It's and I miss that. I need more of that for sure.
and it's different. Like Whose show? There's another show, and there's like three, four guys on there, right? Um, that's a different environment. Like this is point to point. You and I are talking, having a conversation. But when you start introducing other people, the conversation, it doesn't like it's not three, it doubles because there's all another conversation because it's you talking to you and you talking to you and then you. So it's like an exponential growth when you add another person because there's another set of conversations on top of the extra person. So and then you add a fourth and then that doubles again. So and then you get that team room attitude. Like there's this remember in the team room, like I used to be extremely funny in group, like in like very funny. That's what everybody tells me.
Yeah.
I don't see it, but that's what everybody tells me. And I'm like, really, I was, because nobody in this like people don't think I'm funny now, but you get in there and then guys start making these sarcastic comments or this really dry humor or the undercuts like they're like jabs and stuff, but
Yeah.
they're real subtle. And then people pick up on it. It's a different conversation. Whereas I like these, I mean, I hopefully will do different shows with more than one person, but still a direct conversation. It's not this more of, and there's nothing wrong with those shows. I like listening to them if, once in a while. Gets a little overbearing for me, but um, that's great too. But I like, we could sit and it's like, oh, this happened and this happened and this, and what do you think about this and things like that without the interference. And I was thinking about it in the car ride yesterday. I was like, what I'm trying to do is have a conversation with you, not only that the listener wants me to ask questions that they want to hear the answer to, but that they just get lost in me talking to you
Yeah.
and just want to listen and be like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Or, oh, I got stories. Because I can't, I have no experience in some areas of the Army. Um, and so I don't really get into them too much, thoughts and things like that. We're the next question, right, that I'm going to ask you. But um, it's just, and I'm enjoying it. So it's good and it's helpful, and that's what I want the show to be.
Yeah.
I I will if the show requires it of me when it comes down to it. I would record every day and release an episode every day if it got to that point, just so everybody that wants to come on here could come on here and have a conversation with me and talk. I have that ability. I could do that right now. I have so many episodes queued up that I could release an episode every day for 30 days, and then I would be still have 7 episodes left. Um, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if it gets to that point. Like I wanted something that just it's like we go back to selfless sort of thing. I'm having a lot of fun, and if the market says that I can do this, then we'll do it. And I built it from nothing, and I want to give it to everybody else within reason, to everybody else from our community, all soft, all special operation or special operations adjacent. Now, I don't want to get too much because you do a lot of cool guy stuff in group and everything, but compared to what you thought as being a sergeant, watching that SF team in Afghanistan do their thing, to now being on a team, did you get to do the things that you wanted to do back then?
100% plus more. I think I got to do things that I didn't think I was going to get to do, even as SF. But I can honestly look back and be like, being SF was exactly everything I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? It was just as wild and exciting and professional and just edge of the seat as I thought it was going to be. So I'm really glad it lived up to my expectations. And then, I thought, oh man, if I could just make it SF, that'd be so cool. But then being there for a couple of years, you grow in SF, you get all these different schools and experiences, and you're like, man, this is just everything I thought SF was going to be from movies and books. Like, I felt like it was really it. So um, that's something that I'm immensely grateful for. Even though, medically retired at 16, like I can look back and be like, I did everything I've ever wanted to do in the military plus some. So I feel like so grateful that I got to check off so much off my list that I feel very accomplished and very satisfied with that whole military chapter of my life. And I can look back and be like, there's not much that I regret not doing. You know, like I went after every school that I could have ever wanted. I had all these great different roles. I had great combat trips. I had great J sets. I had great team sergeants and captains. It was like, man, it was everything I thought it was going to be. So I'm really glad I lived up to the hype.
Fuck yeah. I love to hear that. Because it's not always that way. You know, it's just good. And but there's bad days. There's bad days, and you got to do stupid shit that you don't want to do. But overall, it's pretty fucking cool.
That's the
And
thing that
yep,
doesn't get talked about a lot, that a lot of people that aren't in special forces, they perceive that we don't have to deal with the regular army bullshit, the admin stuff. And it's like, oh no, it's all still there. You know what I mean? But like our stupid shit that we're bitching about is like, I call them like first world problems compared to like regular army. Like I remember being an SF guy bitching if I had to throw on an actual uniform in garrison. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean I can't show up in civvies or PT clothes? You know, it was like, and then we would talk about it, be like, man, I can't believe like this is what we're bitching about, you know, versus I remember being in the infantry, like you're on a 15-month deployment, not a single piece of civilian clothes with you anywhere. You know, it's either your full uniform or Army PTs. So, um, but you know, even in SF, there's all sorts of admin shit and stupid stuff that we have to do. But you're still in the Army, you know. But there's also just a ton of cool stuff that I'm really, really glad for.
yeah, fuck yeah. It's you know, the time you spent with the team or with the guys on the ODA. But you know, I do. Now a lot of my episodes, I've had people on there like I just did not have a good time, you know, and it's such a bummer because the good time is out there, but you know, it depends on who you run into and who's in charge of you and what level of self care that they're administering towards themselves and things
Yeah,
like that. So it can be its experiences do vary. And
yeah,
like I said, I went to a bad team. Um, hopefully, we're going to get one of my teammates on the show soon to corroborate some of the ridiculous claims that I've been making on this show. He did one of them. I went on somebody else's show the other day, and he was in the comments going, "Not only is this true, it was way worse than he's saying it was in real life." And I'm like, okay, good, because I was like, man, that's I did I've told the story so many times now. I'm like, did that happen? And
yeah,
then somebody to jump in and go, yep, it happened and it was worse than what he's describing. So,
yeah.
but
That's definitely out there. There's dudes that, like you're saying, that you get put on a kind of a bad team or there's like a bad dynamic with the team. Like I recognize that now looking back at like how lucky I was. Like the first team I got put on was the team I stayed with my whole time at first group. And from the first team sergeant I had to the last team sergeant I had, they were all great team sergeants. They were all different and had different pet peeves or different whatever, but they were all great. And I can say the same thing for the team leaders. You know what I mean? They were different in their unique aspects, but they were all like good leaders. So, and the team dynamics for basically the entire time that I was a part of the team, there it was always healthy. It was always a great like tight knit team, and the families hung out together outside of work. And so I was really lucky, and I don't think I realized that at the time. I don't think I was grateful enough for that at that time, of just how healthy that environment was, what good leaders I had, and just really soaking that in, because that is not the average experience. Sometimes dudes end up on a team that they don't fit in with. All the personalities are different, or there's some drama going on inside the team, and like that definitely makes the experience not as fun. But I got lucky.
battalion, second battalion, who was there? Remember First Sergeant Alvarez when he went to Ranger School?
Yes, as like a 40-year-old.
It's like 41 years old, goes to Ranger School, crushes it. And obviously, it would crush it because, you know, the cadre are going to be like, well, we're not going to fail if SF's future SF Sergeant Major.
Yeah,
Um,
but
but he crushed it.
yeah, he was a team sergeant in my company. He was a dive team sergeant. That dude's a
Yeah.
stud. He's
He's a bad dude.
yeah.
He's a bad dude.
There was only a
That
couple times where like either our team and his team would be like on a J set together or a training exercise or something. So I would be around him and interact with him, and I was like, this guy's a killer, dude. This guy's like, I thought the highest of him, and he was. I remember he was just like a tall Mexican gunslinger. You know what I mean? Like abnormally
in
tall.
first group.
Yeah, like well, yeah. Which was the other weird part was like, why are you not in seventh group? You know, but he was just a stud, man, and I always liked him. I always had good things to say about him. And then a year or two later, you know, seeing that he went to selection, I was like, of course, you know, if anybody could go, I'm sorry, Ranger School. It's like if anybody
Yeah.
can go to Ranger School at 40 years old and crush it, you know, he's the guy. So that was funny.
I bring him up because I think about that dude all the time. Like because and he didn't even know me. We never met. Like I just in formation when I was in second battalion. And I was only in like notionally in second battalion. I was just kind of a ghost. But um I heard that and I was what he said in that little video. I watched it all the time, like you earn your beret every day. And that's fucking true. Sergeant Major Arntz told me that. He's like, you're going to be a Green Beret for life. And like, you earn it all the time. It never stopped being assessed. Like, God, I gotta live up to some of these. Even now, out, like I gotta live up to some of these things that other people did in my mind.
Yeah.
And that's like psychosis, like a driving factor to be better. Now that I've stopped drinking, got my shit together, like to be as good as some of these dudes that were peers, that are now like peers and like legends now, and like to get to interview some of these people. Like I emailed Danny Orozco the other day. He hasn't gotten back to me. He's at Green Beret Foundation now. I want to get him on the show.
Dude, he
Um,
was my first company sergeant major when I showed up, and
yeah,
it was really cool to like show up at group. He was my company sergeant major, and then be at group to see him go up to group sergeant major, and all the levels in between. That was really cool, you know, because like getting to know him as a company sergeant major, build that relationship. Then now when he's group sergeant major, it's like this is great, you know. But yeah, and then I saw that he had transitioned out and was like the VSO for the Green Beret Foundation for first group,
yeah.
which is great.
I'm sure I went to his spam, so I think I'll find him on socials and send him a message. But yeah, I'm just having a blast with this, and I get to meet guys like you and have you on, and hopefully people see you and like, oh, I remember that guy. I want to talk to that guy or whatever. But
Yeah,
yeah, man. So what's next for you after so you said you're going to university to get your master's.
yeah,
What's the plans? Are you just as you said doing the Billy Madison thing?
yeah. Kind of a multi-pronged approach. I knew I didn't prioritize school while I was in, you know, so getting out first year and a half, we call it a gap year, just really trying to find my way, really trying to just decompress and unwind everything from the military, but eventually found my way to school. I purposely picked out a private Christian college here in Nashville because I wanted to put myself in an environment that would cause me to soften everything about my life and be able to better interact with everybody else that's not SF. You know what I mean? It's like when you're talking with other SF guys, it's like we can drop F bombs all the time and we can, you know, talk our way, but that doesn't fly a lot in the regular world. So I wanted to put myself in an environment where, and I grew up in a Christian household, in a Christian school. So I felt like all my time in SF was on one end of the extreme spectrum. And in order to rebalance my life and reassess my priorities, I needed to not go back to center, but I needed to kind of be on the other side of that to really help soften me up and mold me into somebody that is usable and an asset in this world. You know, like you were saying, you got to earn your Green Beret every day. And I've, in the beginning, struggled to know and understand, well, what can I do out here to earn my Green Beret every day? Because that responsibility, that accountability, that leadership of people looking to you to take charge, that doesn't leave after you leave the military. Like, and I was not looking for it at school or in any other aspect of my life, but I am constantly put in positions because of that. And that's something that I've had to that's how I try to earn my Green Beret every day, is like, what can I do to be the best veteran college student I can be right now? What can I do to give the best impact to the people around me now? These regular kids that are going to school that weren't in the military, not SF, like, how can I enrich everybody's life that I come into contact with? And I knew I needed to be in the right environment and just bury myself in a healthy environment to really take on the roles and responsibilities that were going to come with whatever happens next. So found Lipscomb here in Nashville, and they were the best accredited business college for undergrad in Nashville. So I was like, well, I know I want to go to school for business entrepreneurship. So they're the best accredited. It's a great atmosphere. It's a Christian atmosphere that'll help me just kind of unwind and integrate into my new surroundings and my society. So did that. This fall, I'll be starting my senior year, and then after that, staying on for their MBA program. Again, the focus being on business entrepreneurship. I don't have an end goal. I don't have like a specific position or a specific company that I'm angling for at the end of this. I just know my love is in entrepreneurship. My love is helping small businesses. It's getting attached to something that is making a real impact in the world and really benefiting somebody, and being a part of a great team. Because I know I'm at my best when I'm surrounded by other professionals working on something that really makes a difference in this world. Um, so I don't care what that looks like once school is done. However, my priority no longer is work is no longer number one. A big regret that I have from all of my time in the military was all the sacrifices that my family and my kids had to make because of my job and because I put work first. Being a Green Beret was my entire identity, my entire life. Now, on the back end of that, my priority number one is my kids. Number two is my family. Number three is me, and me in the right way with, my drinking and being a productive member of society. Like, same as you, like, I took about 2 years where I was just completely stone cold sober, had a massive drinking problem that needed to overcome. But now it's put me in a role here where it's like, man, there's a lot of valuable life lessons that I can help the guys that are currently in getting out. I can be a resource to be like, hey, man, these are the mistakes I made. These are the decisions I made. I would encourage you to make different decisions or watch out for these traps. Um, so that's where I really find myself in now. But school's been great for just so many different reasons. But um, I like going to school now. I think trying to go to college at 18, I didn't care about it, wasn't interested in it, had no idea what I wanted to go to school for. Now I know exactly what I need to be going to school for. Now I love every class I take because I'm genuinely interested in, you know, financial documents and reading P&L statements and understanding the nuts and bolts of how businesses operate. And so I feel very lucky to be in this role. And on campus, currently serving as the vice president of the Campus Veterans Organization. So no matter where I go, I always seem to find myself being put in these roles to help and give back to veterans. And that's just something I'm really trying to embrace and trying to learn. How can I be the biggest asset to the guys that are still in getting out now? Because as you and I have seen, when we got out, resources weren't there, communities weren't there. There was a lot of gaps. So what can I do in my small little part to help make transition for the active duty guys getting out? How can I help them? So school has been a fantastic experiment. It has been, and all my classes are on campus. I know a lot of guys, if they haven't finished undergrad, they'll like knock it out online. I really wanted to just throw myself headfirst into this situation and get the most out of it. And I knew that if I was just sitting at home doing online classes, I wasn't going to get the biggest benefit of going to school, which is interacting with the community, building those relationships with these business and these mentors in Nashville. Um, that is the whole key goal of going to school. And I think a lot of people miss out on it if they do it online. But luckily, my life has been structured in such a way where I can just focus on school and my kids. So right now, that's everything that's on my plate. I got two teenage daughters, so that takes so much time, to try to make up for all the things I missed, all the birthdays, all the holidays, all the special events. It's like now my number one priority is like my kids and their events. If something comes up, like I'm canceling it to go to every one of my daughter's soccer practice or softball practice or whatever it is. Like, really trying to prioritize them and really trying to learn what it means to be a great dad. I think my time in the military, you can put a lot of your responsibilities on the shelf and just focus on being a Green Beret because everybody's there to support you being a Green Beret. But now my outlook is just a lot different, and I'm trying to be the best support guy I can possibly be. I want to be the best support guy to my kids, to my family, and just take advantage of that role because that's why I'm here. I never thought I would make it to retirement. I never had a plan for post military. I knew the odds are I'm either going to catch it on a deployment or I'm going to do it to myself when I'm home. You know what I mean? And there wasn't a plan for after the military. So to now be here in this situation, I'm like, man, I have everything that I wanted the whole time in the military. Like I'm here living with my kids. I have all of this free time to do what I feel is most important. So really just prioritizing and learning how to be the best that I can, finishing school, getting my master's, and then that'll be the next chapter and going into that. But for right now, I'm just really trying to soak up, being Billy Madison, being the older dude in class where a lot of the students are like, is he like an adjunct professor? I'm walking around with my briefcase bag. It's been a trip, man, but I'm just so fortunate to be in this spot.
That's nicely put, man. That sounds like you're having a blast. You seem happy when you're describing it and you're doing the right thing and where you want to be. And we are, yeah, we're supporting now, supporting the next venture, family, people around us, the next generation, whoever needs that support. There's time for action and to do things and to take care of yourself. That's point in action and there, but to support everybody else. There's the next opportunity will come up where you got to stand in the spotlight again. But for now, support,
Yeah.
get your education, and get ready for the next role that come up because I don't know what this is going to turn into. You don't know what your thing is going to turn into, but it sounds like you're going to figure it out just fine.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of doing hard shit early in life, going SF, doing all these things is like, what does that mean now for me in the civilian world? Not much. I mean, having Green Beret in my resume definitely got me a lot of doors open where people are like, oh, I want to talk to this guy. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like it doesn't qualify me for any of these jobs out here. Like because I went to combat means nothing in any of these jobs. So, what can I take from all that time in the military? Well, the biggest thing I take away is like, I know I can accomplish anything if I just focus on it and set my priorities right. And nothing that I'm doing here on the outside, going to school full time, raising teenage daughters, none of that could possibly be as difficult or as dangerous as anything I've already done. So I don't need to freak out about it. I don't need to worry about it. I just need to focus, throw myself into it, and only great things can come of it. So that's the mentality I really try to have. Again, it took me years to get to this point. The hardest thing in the world ever for me is slowing down. And it took me years to slow down mentally, physically. I used to have 100 different things going on, helping everybody I could to the detriment of myself and my family just to feel like I was contributing and doing something. You know what I mean? It was like, well, none of that matters if your home life's shit. You're not there for your kids. You're not taking care of yourself the right way. Like doesn't matter how much you try to help other people, it'll all turn to dog shit if you're not taking care of yourself, your family, and just slowing down. And so I'm just, it sounds so mundane to everybody else, but my goal these last couple of years is just learn how to be a normal, good dad, a normal dude, and just be happy because I have everything I've ever wanted. Like, I retired at, 35. I don't have to work. I go to school for free. I go to every one of my kids' practices, every school event. It's just like I'm living the dream life. Appreciate it. Be happy for where you're at in life and just soak it up because it's not going to last forever. You know what I mean? School's going to end. I'm going to get thrown into work. There's going to be some bad shit that happens. It's like inevitable. But man, this is exactly what we fought so hard for. And all of my buddies that are not here today, I know exactly that I'm doing what they would want for me. They would want me to be happy. They would want me to be with my family and my kids. They would want me being a dad and just enjoying this post-military life, because there's a lot of people that don't have that chance. And there's a lot of families that don't get to see their son or their daughter get to this point in life. And I think if nothing else, I owe it to my buddies to be happy, to be healthy, and to be, the best dad and man I can be. So it's that easy. That's all I got to focus on.
That's beautiful. I think that's a good point to wrap it up here. And
For
I got
sure.
5 questions for you, and I'll cut you loose, man. How's that sound?
Yeah. Sounds great.
What is your response to thank you for your service?
Oh, I try to tell people like I try to make direct eye contact with them, and tell them simply like your thank you. If I'm really feeling like I want to conversate with this person, I'll just tell them like, "Hey, you're worth it." You know what I mean? They'll come up, "Oh, I want to thank you for your service," and they shake their hand out, looking somebody eye and telling them like, "Oh, you were worth it," or "It was worth it," something. I think gives them back something else. It's too easy to dismiss it and be like, "Oh, you're welcome," or my pleasure or whatever. But I think regular Americans need to know that like, hey, like there's people out here willing to make sacrifices for strangers just to keep them safe and keep the lifestyle and the security that we have. So
What is the one characteristic that sets operators apart from the conventional forces?
hmm, calculated risk taking for sure. I feel like the ability to push the envelope, take calculated risk because we've analyzed the situations, I think that is a big factor differentiating operators from conventional.
Yeah, another one of my guests said, knowing when to correctly use the gray area.
Yes.
It's a similar. You guys, there's a lot of answers that they dance around the same exact thing.
Yeah. It's hard to put your
Know
finger
when,
on it, but that is the
know
thing.
know when and how to be shady.
Yeah. Being shady for the right reason. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
shady for benefit of the team and of the unit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a fine line.
Um, what is the one moment of your career that you wish you could go back and relive or redo, and it wouldn't change where you are now?
Oh, I mean, I could pick just about any deployment. I would just love to be back with the boys again. And even in some of the worst situations, I have the fondest memories because you have to be so close with the guys that you're with. Um, so I would relive, any of those deployments or training cycles, not for the combat, but just to be with the boys and that closeness again, for sure.
What is the best piece of advice that you received during your career?
Oh, I received a lot of great advice. I didn't listen to a lot of it. I think in retrospect, looking back, and I can look at guys who had the same backgrounds as me, same experience with the infantry prior to going to SF, same going through divorce, all that stuff. What led them to a different outcome than what I realized? And I'm thinking of one guy specifically who's waiting to take over a sergeant major role. Staying grounded in your faith, your family, and spirituality of some sort, whether that's religion or whatever. But the guys that were great leaders and were always great leaders and handled all of the setbacks in stride always stayed grounded uh, in their family, in their faith, and with their friends. So that would be my biggest piece of advice is, stay connected to the family and everybody that's known you prior to being SF. That will help keep you grounded and keep you from getting too high up in the clouds.
Last one, man. What were you afraid of then, and what are you afraid of now?
Primary driving factor then and now is not being good enough. You know, wanting to always be better, always wanting to be the best at what I do so I can give the best to everybody. It's a double edged sword, but that would be it.
Right, Ryan. How can everybody find you on the socials if they so choose?
Um, don't do social media a lot anymore, but it's still on Instagram, so you could find me at Original Gorilla. It'll be boring. It's just normal dad life stuff now. There's not a whole lot of cool guy pics and putting myself out there, but I'm enjoying the break from being out there and I'm enjoying just being a normal dad again. So if I can help in any way, please feel free to reach out and I'll do my best to answer any questions or provide any advice.
Okay, man. I'll have a link to your Instagram in the show description. I appreciate you coming on, man. You got anything for me?
No, sir. I appreciate your time, man. This is great.
Bye, everybody.